Chapter 150. Lin Wuqian's whole body was emitting a foul smell. The soles of his feet were rotten, and the bloody bones in his palms were clearly visible. However, he didn't look aggrieved at all, only excited and expectant. Yi Qinghan couldn't help but feel somewhat satisfied. A person with Lin Wuqian's willpower would either fall on the path of cultivation or be glorious for thousands of years. Gu Qingyu, for example, would absolutely shock the entire Xiaolong region and spread his name throughout the universe. Where did you come from? When did you come? Yi Qinghan asked seriously. I came from a small town in the border of Qingzhou. Since the crazy sect announced that they were recruiting disciples, I went out alone. After 30 days and nights, I traveled thousands of miles. Please give me a chance. I want to take the test, and I am confident that I can pass. Lin Wuqian's face was full of expectation as he said respectfully. Traveling thousands of miles in 30 days and nights, even a small cultivator in the blood ignition realm would need to rest and not travel day and night. You have really impressed me. However, you don't need to take the test. Yi Qinghan flicked a medicinal pill from his fingertip. When it touched Lin Wuqian's body, it turned into powder and poured into his body through his clothes. The majestic medicinal properties rushed into his bones and limbs, quickly healing his injured body. Lin Wuqian's whole body trembled. He only felt that his blood was boiling. The wooden sword in his hand trembled slightly, and a cold sword intent burst out. A terrifying and invincible aura gushed out from his eyes. Why don't I take the test? Am I not qualified? Lin Wuqian frowned and asked. No, no one on Xiaoyun planet can teach you. I am taking you as a disciple on behalf of a friend. Yi Qinghan's eyes surged with a special emotion. He owed Gu Qingyu too much. The Bone Sword Mountain collapsed, and Gu Qingyu's whereabouts were still unknown. No one knew whether he was alive or dead. With a sigh, he spoke of the pain in his heart. A proud and sorrowful aura rushed out from his body. Yi Qinghan gazed into the void. He wanted to see through Xiaolong region and find Gu Qingyu to repay his kindness back then. At the same time, at the distant end of the Xiaolong region, on a deathly still star, a vigorous and lonely figure stood proudly on a lonely mountain. He held a sharp sword that reached the sky in his hand. His aura was converged and didn't disperse. His black hair was draped over his shoulders and fluttered in the wind. His side profile looked like a work of God, and his entire body emitted a lonely sword aura. He was like a white snow lotus that stood proudly in the wind at the peak of the 9 heavens. He was arrogant, cold, and disdained to be associated with the common people. In his life, he had only one sword and one brother. He spent the rest of his life alone, only to seek the supreme vicissitudes of the great Tao, to prove his Tao, to be crowned as an emperor, to shatter the void, and to lead the human race to stand proudly in the endless universe. This was his lifelong dream. Gu Qingyu was the only one who could portray the sword. He was so lonely, like a hero, destined to be sad. He stretched out his slender fingers and gently stroked the scar on his neck. With his cultivation, such a small wound could be easily healed, but he let the scar remain. Yi Qinghan, this scar is left for you. It serves as a warning to me that my solitary sword Tao has yet to reach the true peak. After I destroy those shameless villains in Xiaolong region, it will be the day I erase this scar. If your spirit is in heaven, bless me to succeed in seizing the sword seed this time. If I fail, we will be brothers in the next life. The sword seed was the soul of the sword. A 5th grade sword didn't have a sword seed, and its spirit didn't have any intelligence. However, once it had a sword seed, it could transform and merge with its master at any time. Its battle strength would increase by 100 times, or even 1,000 times. Whoosh! Body and sword merged as one, breaking through the void and speeding away. Relying on his physical body, he crossed the stars and the universe. His speed was even more terrifying than the cloud-piercing ship. The stars moved, and all the shackles in front of him turned into flames and scattered with the wind. Shaolong region, Great Buddha Golden Temple. A sea of people came from all directions to congratulate. Countless Buddhist disciples were wearing golden kasayas, looking very dignified. Even the weakest among them was at the heavenly passage realm. In Buddhist orthodoxy, it was also called the Buddha realm. One had to admit that the great Buddhist orthodoxy in the endless universe was very powerful. It was a rare 8th grade power, and even a small temple had countless experts. Ajura Qianyi, shining with Buddhist light, had a golden kasaya draped over his shoulders. He looked bright and dignified, looking very benevolent and compassionate. He was filled with an overwhelming aura. Amitabha. Reverend Sherming has experienced 1,500 years of cultivation history. Half a month ago, he passed away in a sitting posture in a Buddhist cave. Our Buddha is merciful and gave him the Buddha heart sword seed, relic to enlighten the world. Buddha will eventually sense it if our hearts are kind and benevolent. Ajura Qianyi put his palms together, and his Buddhist power was vast and mighty. He wanted to purify the people who came to pay their respects. Taoist Ajura, I heard that Reverend Sherming passed away in a sitting posture and gave birth to the Buddha heart sword seed, relic. I'm here to pay my respects. Emperor Shenyi, who was wearing a golden imperial robe, stood on a dragon carriage and was pulled by sacred beast Fire Kiran. He had a majestic aura and was riding the wind and breaking the waves, rushing over from afar. Congratulations, Taoist Ajura, for obtaining the Buddha heart sword seed. The great Buddha Golden Temple's strength has improved. Lu Su, the great marshal revered of the Lu family, appeared outside the great Buddha Golden Temple, wearing a willow leaf robe specially made by the Lu family. His aura was vast and mighty, suppressing the heavens. Ha ha ha, I haven't seen you for 8 years, and now you're even more powerful than before. Ajura Qianyi laughed and greeted them with cupped fists. After all, these two were rare super-existences in Shaolong region. They were both people who had participated in the peak battle back then. Taoist Ajura, you seem to have a stronger Buddha heart after killing Yi Qinghan. It seems like you have a chance to advance to the immortal sect's great Buddha realm. Emperor Shenye's eyes flashed with killing intent as he cupped his fists and said. There was only one immortal sect expert in Shaolong region, and that was the region master of Shaolong region. However, this region master did not care about worldly affairs and was in seclusion all year round. At that level, he was not interested in worldly affairs at all. Therefore, a great martial revered expert could dominate Shaolong region. No one would have thought that another immortal sect expert would suddenly appear. They seemed to be in harmony with each other, but in fact, they were more vigilant against each other than guarding against thieves. If anyone had the chance to break through to the immortal sect, they would definitely be coveted by others. If they had the chance, they would definitely kill him. Everyone understood each other's thoughts. Therefore, on the surface, they laughed, but no one knew what they were thinking. Ajura Qianyi pretended not to know. He stretched out his hands and bowed, inviting the two great martial revered experts into the great golden Buddha temple. Many people had already gathered inside the great golden Buddha temple. There were many Tao masters and 7 or 8 great martial revered experts. If Yi Qinghan was here, he would definitely recognize them because they had all participated in the encirclement and annihilation of Shaozhanqing. Taoist Ajura, please take out the Buddha heart sword seed. Let us all pay homage to the Buddha's boundless Dharma. When the crowd saw Ajura Qianyi come in with 2 great martial revered experts, they all cupped their fists and said. Rest assured, everyone. Today, I will take out the Buddha heart sword seed Saraira for everyone to comprehend for 2 hours. However, before that, we should discuss how to kill the traitor Gu Qingyu. If he is still alive, we will not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Ajura Qianyi said coldly. At that moment, he did not have any Buddha heart at all. If Gu Qingyu is to be killed, then what about Sikong Qingjun? One of the three supreme battle kings of the Xiaolong territory has already died. The remaining two should also be buried. Lu Su smiled coldly and said cruelly. These people knew each other well. There was no need to beat around the bush. They had all participated in the event of that year. Except for Azura Qianya, who still had to pretend, the others all tore off their hypocritical masks. At that moment, Gu Qingyu quietly appeared outside the great golden Buddha temple. When he saw the Dharma golden seal covering 1,000 miles of the temple, a trace of disdain appeared at the corner of his mouth. He turned into an illusory Gu Qingyu and unexpectedly ignored the bounded domain and directly went through it. Gu Qingyu moved the stars and directly appeared outside the cultivation cave without alerting anyone. His sword pierced through the air and killed 2 guards at the beginner level of the Tao Master. Then, he directly entered the cave. The cave was shining with golden light. The Dharma was constantly spreading out and suppressing all evil. No evil spirits dared to approach this place. On the futon in the cultivation cave, a heart-shaped white jade sword about a foot long was emitting a majestic Dharma light. It was like an ancient divine weapon. Its overwhelming aura made people unable to breathe. Those who were not righteous did not dare to look directly at it. Those whose Taoist heart was not stable did not dare to look directly at it. This was the Buddha Heart Sword Seed Saraira. It contained the 1,500 years of cultivation experience of Tao Master Shi Ming and the Supreme Dharma Profound. The one who had the Saraira would get the true inheritance. However, no one had expected that Gu Qingyu would appear in the cultivation cave at the back of the mountain without alerting anyone. What's more, he quietly killed 2 experts at the intermediate level of the Tao Master. Gu Qingyu smiled. He stretched out his hand and directly held the Buddha Heart Sword Seed Saraira in his palm. He did not feel uncomfortable at all, which showed his Taoist heart and temperament. Tao Master Shi Ming, you have devoted yourself to cultivation. The Saraira of your death should not be used by a villain. Gu Qingyu turned his wrist and the Saraira disappeared. Then, he walked out of the back of the mountain and soared into the sky. He turned into a horrible sharp sword and wanted to split the sky and earth. No Buddha temple, I don't want it. Gu Qingyu shouted in a low voice. His momentum was unprecedented. The sword qi was fierce and overbearing, full of destructive aura. In a flash, it cut the sky and directly chopped down. Boom, 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 the whole great Buddha planet was collapsing. The great Buddha golden temple was shattered. Wherever the sword qi passed, everything was turned into powder. Thousands of experts were killed by this sword. Ah! Hundreds of figures rushed out of the great Buddha golden temple. They were all Tao masters, and there were no less than 10 great martial venerables. Their faces were covered in dust. Looking at the raised great Buddha golden temple and the terrifying figure in the sky, they could not help but gasp. Shura Qianye, Emperor Xinyi, remember, this sword is just the beginning. I have only one sword and one brother in my life. If he dies, you will all be buried with him. I, Gu Qingyu, swear by my sword that I will kill all of you in my lifetime. Swoosh! Gu Qingyu broke the void and rushed into the endless universe. Shura Qianye was furious and shouted, he took the Buddha Heart Sword Seed Saraira. If you don't want to die, stop him for me. In a flash, hundreds of people rushed out crazily. The whole Xiaolong region was in chaos. The horrible murderous aura shrouded half of the Xiaolong region. The aura rushed into the galaxy and the sky collapsed. Yi Qinghan, who was still on the Xiaolong star, shot out a golden light from his eyes as if he could see through the shackles of the universe. He rushed into the depths of the Xiaolong region. The sword qi was too horrible and familiar. He only felt a trace of the aura and knew the identity of the swordsman. It's Qingyu. Yi Qinghan's azure dragon arm was about to explode. The demon dragon saber was emitting a murderous aura. His blood was boiling and his fighting spirit was soaring. Chapter 151. Xiaolong Region. A sword pierced through the Milky Way, startling the entire region. Then, the aura disappeared in a flash. Great Buddha Gold Star rushed out, hundreds of terrifying auras, rushing to the end of the Milky Way. The sky kept collapsing, and the Milky Way flowed backward. A divine sword tore apart the heaven and earth, instantly moving thousands of miles away. The supreme way of sword was invincible. Thousands of daos in the sky of Xiaolong region rumbled, and the law descended. Countless experts flew up to the void to watch, but they didn't dare to interfere. Yi Qinghan looked up at the sky. A sword rainbow pierced through Xiaolong region, and hundreds of experts chased after it. The Milky Way was turbulent, and the situation was extremely dangerous. Damn it! Yi Qinghan's veins bulged, and the veins on his blue dragon arm bulged. He wanted to break through the confinement of his body. Brother is fighting with others, but I can't do anything. The Milky Way is vast, and no one can do this except for these great martial venerables and mid-level Tao venerables. Yi Qinghan was only in Tao Insight realm, and there was a huge gap between him and Tao venerables. At this moment, he could only feel helpless and angry, but he couldn't help. The only thing he could do now was to pray that Gu Qingyu could escape from everyone's pursuit. Gu Qingyu, your brother is dead. Do you still want to live? A voice exploded in the endless Xiaolong region, and it could be heard clearly from countless miles away. She must have gone with him. Go to hell to be brothers. You demon, you dare to kill the monks of Great Buddha Gold Temple. Today, you will die. Azura Qianyi roared, and his Buddhist power pierced through the sky. He was the fastest, and he was close to the Immortal Gate realm. Gu Qingyu transformed into Way of Sword and fled, but he didn't pull away. Hearing the clamor behind him, he sneered and said, I live to kill you villains. When I refine the Saraira, it will be the day you die. The hatred between the two sides had reached an unresolvable level. There was no other choice but to kill. It was a real fight to the death, and there was no room for reconciliation. In the Milky Way, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Dead stars were shattered, and flames burned the sky. The speeding meteors were extinguished by the experts with a snap of the fingers. This was the terrifying war between high-level experts. Whoosh, Gu Qingyu's figure flashed across the sky above Owlfall Star. His domineering and cold aura crushed everyone's Tao heart. At his level, one sword strike could penetrate a small star like Owlfall Star. Everyone was terrified. In a battle between masters, the mortals would suffer. Even Fate Palace realm practitioners felt powerless. If the Owlfall Star was shattered, Yi Qinghan might not be able to survive. Roar! A roar of anger rang out from the depths of the Demon Valley continent, shaking the heavenly river, causing the Tao hearts of the supreme experts to tremble. Gu Qingyu's eyes flashed past, piercing through the limpid autumn waters. He saw the Kuei Ox in the Demon Valley continent's blood prison. The passage of time rotated as he directly descended. Ha ha ha, come, destroy this small star and release the vicious beast. Let's see who can escape its devouring. The corners of Gu Qingyu's lips curled up, provoking the experts who were chasing after him. Azura Qianya and the others chased into Owlfall Star. Just as they were about to attack, they were stopped by Monarch Shenyi. It's the Kuei Cow. Primordial divine beast, don't attack this star. Everyone's expression changed greatly as they looked at the blood prison. The Kuei Ox was struggling, trying to break free from the confinement and rush out of the blood prison. Its Tao heart was almost shattered, and its face was deathly pale. It's the 8th rank Kuei Ox. Heavens, how did this thing appear in the Owl Dragon region? Lu Su was shocked, his robes fluttering as he tried to escape. Azura Qianya's face was ashen. Buddhist light enveloped Owlfall Star, wrapping Gu Qingyu within. He said coldly, Gu Qingyu, leave the Saraira behind, and I won't kill you today. Is that so? Why don't you dare to attack? You're afraid of the Kuei ox coming out, right? You're afraid, but I'm not. Do you want me to release it for you? Gu Qingyu's purple robes fluttered as he raised a bone sword, wanting to split Owlfall Star apart. You dare! Stop! You lunatic! Even if you want to perish together with us, don't implicate countless creatures. Everyone was scared to death, but they didn't want to admit it. They could only drag out the countless creatures of Owlfall Star. Ha 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 ha, a group of lowly people knows about countless creatures. There are tens of billions of humans on Owlfall Star, why don't you call them innocent creatures? You kill people who deserve to die. Gu Qingyu laughed madly. He looked at everyone's deathly pale appearance with even more disdain. Everyone was silent. They wanted to retreat, but Gu Qingyu went crazy. He directly shattered Owlfall Star and released a terrifying existence. Roar! The Kuei ox roared again. Its eyes shot out red light, piercing through heaven and earth as it stared at everyone. Everyone felt as if their souls were sealed in ice as they continuously retreated towards the central continent. Yi Qinghan's whole body was tense. It was too dangerous at this moment. Once these people lost control, any one of them could shatter Owlfall Star. Countless creatures would be under their control. Obviously, this was Yi Qinghan's place of residence. It couldn't be shattered, or else his identity would be exposed immediately. Divine Bird, give this cosmos ring to the expert swordsman. Yi Qinghan secretly transmitted his voice. He took out the universe ring containing the sealed ancient beast and put it on the parrot's little claw. Fuck, get lost. There are so many cruel human experts, do you want me to die? The parrot was furious as it roared inwardly. If you don't give it to him, Gu Qingyu might really shatter Owlfall Star and make everyone perish together. Since we're going to die anyway, we might as well die a bit more heroically. Let these so-called great martial revered experts see your divine bird's might. Yi Qinghan said in a muffled voice. The parrot was speechless. The parrot was scared of death. With so many experts, even a bit of the aftermath would be enough to kill it. However, Yi Qinghan was persuading it in every way possible. If it still didn't listen, the consequences would be severe. Master, I've been loyal and devoted my entire life. Could it be that you want me to throw away my life? The parrot grabbed Yi Qinghan's clothes and said in alarm. I believe you have great luck. You definitely won't die. Go. Perform a meritorious service for me, and I won't treat you unfairly in the future. Yi Qinghan coldly clenched his fists. If the parrot dared to speak any more nonsense, he would definitely throw it over. The parrot wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Its legs trembled as it looked up into the sky a few hundred kilometers away. There were nearly 100 experts there, and any one of them could easily crush Owlfall Star. As for it, it felt a chill run down its spine. Master, if I sacrifice myself, you must remember that today is the anniversary of my death every year. Burn some female parrot for me. The parrot solemnly took the heaven and earth ring and flew toward Gu Qingyu. The wind blows and the clouds rise. The brave warrior will never return. The parrot muttered as it flapped its wings. With every step it took, it would look back 3 times. Seeing Yi Qinghan's resolute gaze, it clenched its teeth and charged over. Brave warriors. I'm just passing by. Please don't attack. When it was still a few dozen kilometers away, the parrot began to cry out loudly for fear that someone would attack and destroy it. Damn it, what a solemn moment. The parrot's words had completely shaken away all the killing intent. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. What kind of bird was this? How could its intelligence be so high? The countless creatures kneeling on the ground looked up into the sky and saw the parrot trembling as it flew toward the group of experts. Their hearts hung in the air for fear that it would anger the experts and destroy Owlfall Star in a thunderous rage. Brave warriors. Life is precious, but loyalty is even more valuable. I've been loyal all my life, and my entire body is filled with courage. For the countless lives of the people, I've come to advise you not to attack. The terrifying Kuei in the blood prison has been corroded by the endless blood sea's killing intent and has long since lost its intelligence. Once it breaks the seal, we'll all die. Everyone. Yi Qinghan was speechless. Was this bird really going to deliver the heaven and earth rings? Why did it feel like it was trying to stop a fight? The austere atmosphere was completely destroyed by this sentence. Everyone's fingertips trembled as they coldly watched the parrot. Gu Qingyu's entire body was ice-cold. Sword energy filled his body. A wisp of sword energy could destroy this reckless parrot, so he didn't stop it from approaching. Instead, he noticed the heaven and earth rings on its claws. Sirs, I have a secret. Please don't attack. Wait until I'm done. The parrot was deadly earnest as it slowly approached Gu Qingyu. 10 miles, 8 miles. Let me tell you. In fact, the owl-falling star is just a fragment of the ancient Sirius star. There's more than one Kuei sealed here. There are also some terrifying evil spirits. If you awaken them and release them, then I can only congratulate you. You'll all die. How do you know? Emperor Shenyi coldly asked. Because I'm an ancient divine bird. The parrot rushed through everyone's aura and tightly grabbed Gu Qingyu's clothes. It swayed in the wind as it roared, "Motherfucker, you scared me to death. My little sweetheart." Everyone. Gu Qingyu retracted his sword energy and looked at the parrot hanging on his clothes. He was puzzled. This lowly bird was too lowly. What was it talking about? Handsome, you have to protect me. I'll give you a treasure. It'll definitely scare off this group of shameless wretches. The parrot grabbed his clothes and directly climbed onto Gu Qingyu's shoulder. It was extremely wretched. Motherfucker, Azura Qianye and the others were angry. Who was the wretched one? Gu Qingyu. Gu Qingyu took the universe ring and probed it with his divine sense. He found a dark and terrifying stone. The creature inside was constantly wriggling, as if it was showing signs of awakening. He used a drop of blood to recognize it as its master. He casually waved his hand and took out the stone. A terrifying and gloomy baleful aura filled the sky and instantly enveloped Owl-Falling Star. Roar! The Kuei cow seemed to be frightened. It roared repeatedly and retreated into the depths of the blood prison. Gu Qingyu's face was deathly pale. He felt that his vitality was being devoured. The creature inside the stone was rapidly awakening. Emperor Shenyi and the others were greatly alarmed. They continuously retreated. They angrily looked at the parrot and roared, "You actually gave such a vicious creature to the demon. If I had known, I would have killed you, you bastard. You're the bastard. Your whole family are bastards. Bastard, this divine bird is the 10,000 beast divine emperor. You dare to insult this divine bird? I'll burn you to death." The parrot stood on Gu Qingyu's shoulder and immediately felt confident. It no longer cared about these experts and was incomparably arrogant. Motherfucker. You dare to insult this lord? What kind of bird is this? Emperor Shenyi was furious. As a 5th-rank emperor, there was no one in Owl Dragon region who didn't revere him. He was actually insulted by a bird. I already said that this divine bird is the 10,000 beast divine emperor. So what if I insult you? You're not happy. Endure it, overcome it. In any case, I won't change. Don't get angry and fall sick. The parrot knew that these people were Yi Qinghan's enemies. It didn't give them any face. Its words were malicious and could anger them to death. Chapter 152. The parrot's voice was impassioned. It stood there proudly and scolded the experts of Xiaolong region. However, the other party was speechless. They suddenly felt as if their soul had been elevated to the same level as a deity. Gu Qingyu was speechless. Where did this bird come from? Why did it help him for no reason and even scolded everyone? Azura Qianye believed that he was very strong, but he was still trembling in anger because of the parrot. Baldy, look at your monastic robe and Buddhist aura. However, it's useless. Look at your ugly face, I know you're not a good person. Where's your Buddhist heart? Ha ha ha, his Buddhist heart was eaten by a dog. Gu Qingyu held the stone in one hand and the sword in the other. He dared to fight against 100 Dao sovereigns with just one sword. Xiao Zhanxing, Azura Qianye and the others dared to destroy it because they didn't care about the creatures. However, they didn't dare to touch Xiao Liuxing. If he provoked Kuei Niu, there was no need for the domain master to make a move. The law enforcers of the great emperor's followers would kill them. Great revered martial artists were very strong and could run amok in Xiaolong region. However, they were nothing compared to the law enforcers who traversed the universe. I think the evil spirit inside this stone is about to awaken. I don't know what level it is. Maybe it can devour the entire Xiaolong region. Gu Qingyu raised the stone and let it devour his blood essence to help it awaken. Everyone's face was deathly pale. Gu Qingyu was a madman. He didn't fear death at all. He didn't fear the evil spirit's awakening. Azura Qianye wanted to retreat, but the Saraira was still in Gu Qingyu's hands. He was in a dilemma and didn't know what to do. Don't worry, this evil spirit and I are good brothers. We communicate day and night. We are very familiar with each other. Even if it awakens, it won't attack us. It will only kill these vulgar people. The parrot boasted shamelessly. Yi Qinghan stood in the distance with his aura restrained. He grinned as he watched the parrot show off. Gu Qingyu, you better suppress the evil spirit immediately and don't let it awaken. Otherwise, Xiaolong region will be destroyed. It won't be good for you. Countless creatures will die because of you. If your Dao heart is shattered, the lightning tribulation will blast you to death. Emperor Xinyi warned with an ugly expression. Do I look like someone who is afraid of death? I wouldn't go to the great golden Buddha temple if I was afraid. Gu Qingyu sneered. Give me back the Saraira and we'll leave. Shura Qianye said angrily. If you have the guts, then don't leave today. At most, we will lure out the Kuei cow and the evil spirit. Who knows who will live and who will die? Gu Qingyu calmly said. Do you not care about the living beings in the sky? Azura Qianye asked. You, a Buddhist disciple, don't even care, so why would a loose cultivator like me care? Gu Qingyu was filled with disdain, his eyes cold, most likely because he really didn't care. Stone's baleful aura became heavier and heavier. Terrifying soul fluctuations spread out in all directions. Let's go. Some of the Dao masters could not withstand the aura and rushed into the distance, ready to escape from the Xiaolong region. The Saraira did not belong to them. Only idiots would sacrifice their lives for the sake of the Saraira. In a flash, only 3 martial saints remained. Azura Qianye, Emperor Xinyi, and Lu Su's expressions changed. They didn't have much confidence in fighting Gu Qingyu alone. I'm leaving too. Lu Su soared into the sky, leaving Owlfall Star. Whoosh, Emperor Xinyi did not even want to remind them. He directly soared into the sky, leaving Azura Qianye alone. Gu Qingyu's sword-wielding hand moved slightly. Sword Qi roared, shaking Azura Qianye to rush out of Owlfall Star without hesitation. How could he still care about the Buddha Heart Sword Seed Saraira? Ha ha ha, a bunch of trash. You dare to oppose this divine bird. With a wave of my divine body, my tyrannical aura can kill you all. The parrot was incomparably arrogant. Gu Qingyu suddenly shot out sword qi in all directions, suppressing the black stone and forcibly absorbing its life essence to resist the evil spirit. The stone's surroundings were sealed by the sword aura, not even a bit of spiritual energy could enter. The creature inside the stone suddenly roared and frantically struggled, but it soon calmed down. Gu Qingyu continuously shot out sword qi, consuming the evil spirit's essence. Then, he put it into his universe ring. He looked at the parrot with a cold expression. His sword-like eyebrows slightly trembled, scaring the parrot to stop clamoring. "Who told you to come? Who gave you this ring?" Gu Qingyu asked in a deep voice. "It's master, it's me." Yi Qinghan soared into the sky and instantly appeared in front of Gu Qingyu. Their eyes met and sparks flew. That kind of soul aura would not change. Instantly, they knew each other's identity. "Interesting, you actually didn't die." Gu Qingyu's fingertip moved and his soul aura suddenly increased, but his voice was still cold. "I haven't avenged my great enmity, how dare I talk about death?" Yi Qinghan smiled and said, "This place is still safe. They won't dare to destroy Owl Fall Star. Come with me, I'll introduce you to a little genius. Maybe you'll be interested." The two jumped down and entered Lulan Empire's imperial capital. The three Fate Palace powerhouses all bowed to welcome the arrival of a grandmaster. Their faces were full of reverence, but Gu Qingyu did not have time to talk to them. "Here are Dao Sovereign Supreme pills, 2 for each of you. I'll also share some insights of the Dao Sovereign realm. Whether you can break through or not will depend on your luck." Yi Qinghan handed over the Dao Sovereign Supreme pills and shared some insights of the Dao Sovereign realm to them. Then, he took Gu Qingyu to the Crown Prince Palace. "Don't you think this small star is too boring?" Gu Qingyu asked indifferently. "It's not as good as us conquering the endless universe. However, my realm is too low. I need at least 10 years to break through to the Dao Sovereign realm. In 15 years, we can fight together again." "How did you do it?" "Luck, it can only be attributed to luck. After the explosion, there was darkness and my soul fell asleep. When I woke up, it was this small star." The two asked and answered each other's questions and entered the Crown Prince Palace. A group of people was in the Crown Prince Palace. Gu Qingyu immediately stared at Emperor Yi because he did not see her before entering the palace. What a strong soul power! What a smart little girl! Gu Qingyu was not stingy with his praise. It was the first time in his life that he praised someone. "This is my disciple, Emperor Yi. This is my sister, Yi Mengxi, my mother. My friends, Jian Qinxue and Lu Outyan." Yi Qinghan introduced them one by one, and then fixed his eyes on Lin Wujian. "What do you think of this little guy?" Yi Qinghan pointed at Lin Wujian and asked. "Interesting. He can merge with the sword. I mistook him for a wooden sword leaning against the corner of the wall." Gu Qingyu raised his eyebrows and found that Lin Wujian did not open his sea of qi and did not enter the state of cultivation. He could not help but be overjoyed. This was a piece of unpolished jade, and he could do whatever he wanted with it. Apprentice. Gu Qingyu was a man of few words. He looked at Lin Wujian and said. Gu Qingyu's whole body emitted sword qi like a sharp sword. The moment Lin Wujian saw him, he knew he would become such a person. Disciple Lin Wujian greets master. Lin Wujian knelt down without hesitation. "I will bestow upon you the solitary sword art. You must learn it within a year." Gu Qingyu placed his hand on Lin Wujian's head and passed on the profound meaning of the solitary sword art. Moreover, he stored 12 sword moves in his sea of consciousness. They were all the essence of his sword moves. They were priceless. "Brother Yi, let's talk about what happened back then." Gu Qingyu said. "Good. It just so happens that there are many things I don't understand that have been bothering my Dao heart." Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. His aura became cold. Everyone left, leaving only the two of them in the room. There are still 3 people from your Yi family alive. The moment you self-destructed, they escaped from Owl War Star. Gu Qingyu's memories returned to 8 years ago. He had relied on his terrifying strength to escape, but 3 figures had left Owl War Star before him. He didn't understand. Who? Yi Qinghan's aura stagnated. Your wife, Jian Shui, your brother, Yi Kuan, and your last disciple. Gu Qingyu did not hesitate to name the 3 people. They were extremely important to Yi Qinghan. Asterisk huff 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 asterisk Yi Qinghan should have been happy. However, he could not be happy now. These 3 important people had survived. However, he could not believe them. He could not believe any of them. When he self-detonated that year, he was confident that apart from the great revered martial artist, no one would be able to escape from the Owl War Star. The Owl War Star had turned into countless pieces and dissipated in the void of the Owl Dragon region. No one from the Yi clan should have survived. However, these 3 people had actually survived. Moreover, their speed of escape was even faster than Gu Qingyu. Where are they now? Yi Qinghan's killing intent surged as he asked coldly. I don't know. I was seriously injured when I escaped. I could not find any trace of them. They quickly disappeared. When I recovered and wanted to find them again to investigate why Owl War Star was breached, they had already disappeared. It was as if they did not exist. They should have left Owl Dragon region. Gu Qingyu frowned and said. I hope you remain vigilant. Regardless of whether these 3 people betrayed you or not, you cannot believe them when you see them again. Gu Qingyu kindly reminded. Yes, I know. Owl Falling Star has Kuei Kao. Those great martial revered should not come again for the time being. I will hurry up and cultivate. I will strive to break through to Dao Master Realm as soon as possible. I will personally return to Owl War Star and find out who the real accomplice is. Yi Qinghan's hatred overflowed. He was confident that he had been extremely benevolent to these 3 people. Although Yi Qinghan was a spoiled brat, he had taught him all the techniques he wanted to learn. Occasionally, he would teach him a few words. He should not have betrayed the entire Yi family. Gu Qingyu looked at Yi Qinghan frowning and sitting on the chair dispiritedly. He could not help but sigh. The feeling of being betrayed by one's family was indescribable. He casually put the universe ring on the table and left the room. The pressure on Owl Falling Star was monstrous. The tribulation clouds rolled and covered the sky. The Dao Master tribulation was gathering. Yi Qinghan and the others were breaking through to Dao Master realm. Each of them had 2 Dao Master pellets, which should be enough to support their qi and blood. In addition, Yi Qinghan had the comprehension of early Dao Master realm. If they could not break through to Dao Master realm, it could only be said that they were hopeless. Now, there was only one last hurdle left. That was the Thunder Tribulation. After passing the Thunder Tribulation, they would have a lifespan of 500 years. If they could not pass the Thunder Tribulation, they would die. 3 figures flew out of the imperial capital. Each of them ran in a different direction. They did not want the Thunder Tribulation to overlap. Yi Qinghan felt the terrifying pressure of the Thunder Tribulation outside. He slowly stood up. A sorrowful aura rushed out of his body. The demon dragon saber appeared in his hand and he soared into the sky. Chapter 153. Thunderclouds covered the sky and the sun. Owl Fall Star fell into darkness as if doomsday had arrived. Occasionally, a bolt of lightning would pierce through the void, tearing apart the darkness and illuminating the earth. Xianyuan Qinshao, Lu Guyun, and Yi Kongcheng were 300 miles away from the imperial capital, forming a triangle. Under the illumination of the lightning, it was extremely tragic. Yi Qinghan stood aside to guard them. These people were the first batch of the crazy sect. They could help him a lot, so he couldn't let them die. The aura of Tao Master was forming. For thousands of years, there had never been a Tao Master in Owlfall Star. At this moment, the entire Owlfall Star continent was boiling, but some people were unwilling to accept this fact. Dongfang Haoyue and Situ Wanli looked very ugly. They couldn't imagine that after only half a year, their time was coming, but the three of them had entered the legendary realm. Is it because of Yi Qinghan? Did he lead Yi Kongcheng and the others to that level? Situ Wanli clenched his fist and muttered to himself. Impossible. It's impossible. How can a junior of the Tao Insight realm lead people of our level to the Tao Master realm? Dongfang Haoyue was angry and unwilling to admit this fact. They gradually approached the imperial capital of Lulan Kingdom. Seeing the three people's aura, which had far surpassed their own, they couldn't help but be shocked. Boom! A thunderous sound shook the world. It was so loud that even Owlfall Star could hear it clearly. Whoosh! A series of white lightning came from the untainted land, which was shocking. Yi Qinghan looked calm. He had passed the tribulation of Tao Master, which was more than 100 times more terrifying than this. According to this level, Yi Kongcheng and the other two should have no problem. Are you going to train them? Their talent is too poor. It's not worth wasting your energy. Gu Qingyu's figure flashed and appeared in the air. I don't want to train them, but I need them to help me train the crazy sect. I don't have so much time to waste on Owlfall Star. As the elders of the crazy sect, they can help to take care of them. It can save me a lot of trouble. Yi Qinghan replied indifferently. I only believe in the sword in my hand. The more people by my side, the higher the chance of betrayal. Gu Qingyu was cold and arrogant, maintaining a certain degree of vigilance against everyone. But you still took in a disciple. There's no need to seal your heart so tightly. Some people can still be treated with sincerity. Yi Qinghan sighed. One person and one sword is enough. The others are burdens. What I regret the most is that I fought with you in Xiaolong region. Feelings are my weakness, a fatal weakness. I can cultivate Lin Wuxian, but I won't give him feelings. Swish swish swish, the tribulation clouds were thick. 3 bolts of heavenly master thunder tribulation struck down at the same time. The lightning bolts intertwined with each other and formed a long dragon that was powerful enough to destroy the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers. The lightning tribulation was like a powerful army rushing over. The great earth ruptured, extending for hundreds of li. Fortunately, this area was a land of death. The desolate mountains collapsed, and the ancient trees were blasted into ashes by the lightning. A great fire overflowed into the heavens. The 3 great experts faced tribulation at the same time. Their might overflowed into the heavens. They raised their swords and threw themselves at the lightning. They tempered their flesh and reconstructed their golden bodies. Boom! The lightning was incomparably fierce. It almost instantly pierced through the spirit weapons in their hands. Their flesh collapsed and blood splattered everywhere. Then, they were struck into nothingness by the lightning. Their bodies smashed into the ground, battered and exhausted. Gu Qingyu shook his head. With such cultivation, even if they became Tao Masters, they would be the weakest ones. They were even weaker than the 2 Tao Masters he killed outside the cultivation cave. Although they were all Tao Masters, there were differences in strength. A true genius could kill the 3 of them in one move. Yi Qinghan also smiled bitterly. The 3 of them were already in their twilight years. It was already good enough for them to pass the great tribulation of Tao Masters. They could easily kill experts below the Tao Master realm. There was no hope for them to enter Xiaolong region. Go! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and threw the demon dragon saber to Lu Guyan. Hum, the demon dragon saber let out a long hum. It pierced through the void and slashed at the lightning without any damage. Lu Guyun caught the demon dragon saber and immediately became more confident. Unsheath, go. Gu Qingyu's hand trembled and two fifth-grade combat weapons appeared. They were extremely sharp and were only a little inferior to his natal weapon. They were definitely much better than ordinary fifth-grade combat weapons. They pierced through the void and flew directly into Yi Kongqing's and Xianyuan Qinxiao's hands as if they had souls. With fifth-grade combat weapons, the three of them began to fight back. They cut the lightning and split the void. Most of the thunder tribulation was shattered by the combat weapons. A small part of the power was used to refine their bodies. The three of them became stronger and stronger. Their bodies emitted the power of Tao Masters. Dongfang Haoyue and Situ Wanli, who were hundreds of miles away, were envious and resentful. They could not bear to see them enter the Tao Master realm while they were facing death. Let's go and apologize. Do you think Yi Qinghan will also help us pass the Tao Master realm? Situ Wanli asked expectantly. I won't go. If I have to apologize to a kid, where will I put my old face? Dongfang Haoyue said disdainfully. You're waiting for death here. I'm not waiting for death. My time is coming. Why do I still care about my face? Situ Wanli's old face darkened and flew toward Yi Qinghan. Dongfang Haoyue's face was gloomy. Thinking that he still had 2 or 3 years to live, he said to himself, maybe it's worth a try. When I enter the Tao Master realm, where can I not go? Why should I be angry with this little bastard? Maybe I can kill him and take his fruit of Tao. As time passed, the thunder tribulation of Yi Kongqing and the others began to dissipate. The three of them bathed in the blood river and were wounded, but they were very excited. The Tao Master realm made them feel the real path of a cultivator. They could even see the lines of the Great Way clearly. Before the Fate Palace realm, they were like 10-year-old children. But once they entered the Tao Master realm, they were adults. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. Dongfang Haoyue and Situ Wanli rushed over from afar like children who had done something wrong. Their faces were filled with sincerity as they bowed to Yi Qinghan. Young Master Yi, this old man has been in seclusion these past few days to reflect on my actions. I know I was wrong, please forgive me. Yi Qinghan raised the corner of his mouth and glanced coldly at their sincere faces. He said leisurely, I won't argue with you. You don't have to worry about it. You can go back now. Dongfang Haoyue and Situ Wanli were embarrassed and did not know how to respond. Thank you for your generosity. Situ Wanli dropped all pretenses and knelt down, begging, I know you're kind. I still have some time left. I'm willing to serve you. Please give me a chance. When Dongfang Haoyue saw this, he immediately became shameless and knelt down as well. Tears flowed down his aged face in a sincere and touching manner. He said in a hoarse voice, this old man was foolish. Fortunately, the young master had enlightened me, allowing me to have an epiphany before my death. I beseech the young master to take us in as old men. We are willing to lend you a hand. Master, take them in. Let me teach these two bitches a lesson. The parrot looked at the two thick-skinned old men. Its eyes flashed and it immediately transmitted its voice to them. Haha, it's great to know you're wrong. Since you're sincerely repentant, how can I not guide you to the right path? Yi Qinghan laughed and waved his hand, get up. We'll talk about it after the three of them have passed the lightning tribulation. Dongfang Haoyue and Situ Wanli were overjoyed. They looked at each other and their eyes flashed. However, the parrot saw it and could not help showing a wretched smile. It secretly said in its heart, old bastards, you still don't know how to repent. See how I'll deal with you. The void lightning tribulation gradually weakened and the tribulation clouds began to dissipate. The three experts officially entered the early stage of the Tao Master realm. Their temperament changed greatly and they became extremely majestic. Their vitality became majestic and their qi and blood were rejuvenated. Their ability to produce blood was strengthened more than 100 times. However, they looked at Yi Qinghan with more awe. Thank you for saving our lives, Master Yi. If you have any errands in the future, I'll do it. Yi Kongcheng and others bowed and said. I don't need you to do anything for me. Just help me take care of the Kuang sect. From today on, the Kuang sect is officially established. You three will be the 3 elders. Take good care of the dozen children. They will be of great use to me in the future, Yi Qinghan said lightly. Yi Kongcheng and the others immediately became excited. Looking at the indifferent Gu Qingyu, their eyes were full of reverence. They didn't dare to have the slightest blasphemy, and they didn't dare to take the battle weapon for themselves. They hurriedly handed over the battle weapon and bowed. Thank you, young master, for bestowing this battle weapon to help us pass the tribulation. Thank you, Qinghan. Gu Qingyu took the weapon, flicked his sleeves, and left without giving any face. Go back and set up the Kuang sect, Yi Qinghan said and left. Along the way, Yi Kongcheng and the others ridiculed Situ Wanli and Situ Wanli, making them wish they could find a hole to crawl into. However, the older they got, the thicker their skin became. In order to survive, the two of them pretended not to hear anything. They lowered their heads and walked forward, a trace of malice flashing in their eyes. Hey, you two came to pledge your loyalty. Shouldn't you show your sincerity first? The parrot flew in front of them and asked provocatively. Situ Wanli and Dongfang Haoyue knew how poisonous the parrot's mouth was. They immediately bowed and asked, what kind of sincerity does the divine bird need? I will do what I can. What are you talking about? As if this divine bird is a greedy person. You should show your sincerity to the master. Otherwise, how can he let you pass the tribulation without worry? The parrot raised its eyebrows and reminded them. Situ Wanli and Dongfang Haoyue were overjoyed and quickly said, Divine bird, please tell us what Master Yi needs most at the moment. Ahem, the master's mother was poisoned and needs the rejuvenation pill to detoxify the poison. However, this material is scarce and can only be found somewhere in the Demon Valley continent. The master is busy and has no time to find it. Do you want to show your sincerity? The parrot smiled and whispered. Thank you for your advice, divine bird. I just don't know what the materials for the rejuvenation pill are. Where is the easiest place to find it in the Demon Valley continent? The two old fools actually believed the parrot. Let me tell you, in the southwest of the Demon Valley continent, about 3,000 miles, there is a mountain range. It looks a little dangerous, but it is not dangerous. There is a lot of spiritual energy there. Maybe there are materials for the rejuvenation pill. They are evergreen, 100-leaf spirit. The parrot said seriously. When the two heard it, they were overjoyed and thanked it again and again. Then they turned and rushed over. Yi Kongcheng and others were curious and asked, Divine bird, is there really so many elixirs in the place you are talking about? It is better to let us go. Letting these two old bastards go is too easy for them. Ha ha ha, there is a huge surprise waiting for them. You want to go? I won't stop you, the parrot laughed cockily. Then, it turned around and rushed towards Yi Qinghan. Chapter 154. The 3 Tao masters looked at the parrot's wretched smile and knew that it was definitely not a good thing. They could not help but mourn for Dongfang Haoyue and Dongfang Haoyue. They would definitely be seriously injured or even killed. What they did not know was that there were more than just terrifying ferocious beasts there. Apart from the fact that they could not deal with more than 100 young masters of the Stan clan, 1 or 2 great limit realm masters would be no different from courting death. 3 Tao masters suddenly appeared in Owl Falling Star. The 100 Families dynasty came to congratulate them and offered countless treasures, which happened to be the starting asset of the crazy sect. Yi Qinghan did not lack spiritual crystals, but he had other treasures such as spiritual herbs. On the second day of the three Tao Masters' heavenly tribulations, the establishment of the crazy sect was announced. It was divided into an inner sect and an outer sect. The outer sect was composed of the direct descendants of the three Tao Masters. The inner sect disciples were personally selected by Yi Qinghan. Lin Hong was the chief senior brother, and Emperor Yi was the senior sister. However, Emperor Yi was the only direct disciple. The others were at most nominal disciples. As soon as the crazy sect was established and the outer sect was established, it immediately attracted the support and flattery of the rich and powerful families and the royal family. If a royal disciple did not enter the outer sect of the crazy sect, could he still be considered a prince? Therefore, thousands of families and powerful forces rushed to the nine-linked spiritual mountains outside the Lulan Empire's capital. After all, the three elders of the crazy sect were enough to be respected by the world. More people wanted to know what the sect master looked like. On the 15th day of the crazy sect's establishment, the heroes' invitations were issued to the outside world. The bigger purpose was to attract more real geniuses to join. Countless heroes arrived at the foot of the spiritual mountain and looked at a 10-meter-tall tablet with two large characters written on it, Crazy Sect. It showed an arrogant, domineering, fierce, and arrogant aura. It revealed the principle of great Tao and the origin of profound meaning. It was difficult to understand and fascinated people. They felt that by looking at these two characters, they could comprehend the great Tao. It was full of sword Tao and knife Tao. That's right, the word crazy was carved by Yi Qinghan, containing the Tao of blade, profound meanings of the element of darkness and the element of water. It was domineering, arrogant, and fierce. The word crazy was carved by Gu Qingyu, containing the Tao of sword and the Tao of sword. It was cold and merciless, causing others to revere it and not dare to profane it. Moreover, these two words were the eye of the sect protecting formation. It was personally arranged by Gu Qingyu and could withstand the full power attack of a great revered expert. Moreover, the eye of the formation could counterattack and explode with a sword attack that could kill any expert under the great revered level. The nine-linked spiritual mountains were like 9 dragons circling around, paying tribute to the divine dragon. The inner sect was at the center, while the outer sect circled around, gathering dragon chi and the momentum of heaven and earth. What a great place! The conceited sect was the most conceited in the world. In the future, I will definitely be at the peak of rank 5. Countless cultivators stood at the foot of the 9th-linked spirit mountain in front of the stone tablet, their faces full of awe. Nonsense, how could a sect built by 3 Tao masters be a 4th-grade sect? A cultivator said proudly, as if he was also a member of the conceited sect. Ah, if I could retire here, I would be able to prolong my life. An emperor of a dynasty came in person with a few genius princes, hoping to join the conceited sect. Don't think that you can retire here just because you're an emperor of a 3rd-grade dynasty. Don't you know who built this place? Even I may not be qualified to retire here, let alone you. An arrogant voice resounded at the foot of the mountain, startling many people. Lu Canhai, the current emperor of the Lulan Empire and the father of Lu Outyen, was accompanied by Lu Outyen and a few princes with good cultivation. They were all arrogant and did not have the reserved temperament of Lu Outyen. So it's you, Emperor Lu, congratulations, congratulations. Once Lulan ascended, the conceited sect was built outside the imperial capital. Everyone is envious of you. In the future, with the conceited sect supporting each other, who would dare to invade? Everyone congratulated him insincerely. Haha, it's all thanks to Outyen's good foresight that he got to know the sect leader of the conceited sect. Otherwise, how could ancient Lulan have such a good opportunity? Lu Canhai was happy, and he liked Lu Outyen even more. The crown prince's position was very stable, and Lu Outyen's prestige in the empire was not comparable to the other princes. I heard that the sect leader of the conceited sect is a teenager. I wonder if it's true. Everyone asked. That's right. That's why I said, don't bully the young and poor. Lu Canghai sneered and waited for the auspicious time of the conceited sect's opening ceremony. After a while, 3 great Tao masters walked out of the conceited sect. Their faces were flushed with excitement. "Welcome, my friends and the emperors of the various dynasties, to the conceited sect's opening ceremony. Our sect leader is waiting for you in the sect. Please come in." Lu Guyun was very dignified and full of killing intent, which shocked everyone. No one dared to be rude and they all returned the greeting. After all, Lu Guyun was not someone to be trifled with. Back in the days, he used his own talents to conquer the huge ancient Lulan. His killing intent was very strong. The crowd followed the 3 great Tao masters into the 9th successive sacred mountain. They were completely stunned and speechless by the conceited sect's generosity. The main peaks of the sacred mountain were paved with lower-grade spiritual crystals, while middle-grade spiritual crystals were used to set up the spirit-gathering array. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth gathered in the conceited sect. 90% of the spiritual chi was gathered in the main peak of the inner sect, and 10% was shared by the other 9 peaks. Although it was only 10%, it was thousands of times denser than the outside world. No one knew how dense the inner sect would be. Cultivating in the outer sect was fast, but in the inner sect, 1 day of hard cultivation was equivalent to a year in the outside world. Damn! It's really a big deal. There are at least 50 million lower-grade spiritual crystals on the 9 peaks, and at least 1 million middle-grade spiritual crystals. There are even middle-grade spiritual crystals. Everyone took a deep breath and felt the spiritual chi invade their nostrils. It was a feeling of being forced into their bodies. It was so fucking cool. All of them wanted to act shamelessly and refused to leave. At this time, they finally understood what it meant to join the conceited sect. Lu Outyan smiled. He was also shocked speechless by Yi Qinghan's generosity. This kind of array almost absorbed all the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, and there were so many spiritual crystals in the spirit-gathering array. It was estimated that in a few hundred years, the entire 9-linked sacred mountain would become a spiritual crystal mine. There was a huge square below the inner sect, which could accommodate thousands of people. It was unusually flat, and divine light flowed. With the support of the Dharma, it could withstand the attacks of experts below the middle-level Tao Master. Even the 3 Tao Masters could not destroy it. There were about 300 tables in the square, and each table could seat 10 people. It was enough to entertain these people. Halfway up the sacred mountain, 2 young men in their 20s were majestic and imposing. They were as elegant as jade, and they immediately attracted everyone's attention. Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu walked side by side with incomparable arrogance. Their eyes were filled with disdain for all living beings, as if the world couldn't suppress them. "Greetings, Mr. Yi, the leader of the conceited sect." "Greetings, Senior." Everyone bowed and saluted. Gu Qingyu, although it was the first time he appeared, who did not know him. A few days ago, he fought against 100 experts of the Owl Dragon territory with only 1 sword. His sword chi alone could shatter the Owlfall star. His back was enough to turn everyone upside down. No one was more powerful than him. "Well, sit down. Today is the opening ceremony of the conceited sect. I invited you because I want to recruit more geniuses and train them. Don't be shy." Yi Qinghan nodded lightly and looked at the crowd as if he was looking at his juniors. No one dared to be presumptuous. The 3 Tao Masters stood aside respectfully. Who dared to say anything? "Congratulations, Brother Yi. I'm poor and can't take out any treasures, but I'm willing to promise that as long as Lulan does not fall, we will offer millions of lower spiritual crystals every year to support the conceited sect." Lu Outyan's aura was ethereal. "Not bad. You have a sword heart and a sword spirit. The great reincarnation sword art suits you very well." Gu Qingyu said indifferently. He seemed to be disdainful, but it was actually the best compliment. After all, he had never praised more than 5 people. In the past, he had praised Yi Qinghan and Sikong Qingjun. A few days ago, he had praised Emperor Yi and Lin Wuqian. The last person he had praised was Lu Outyan. Lu Outyan smiled and said humbly, "Thank you, senior, for your praise. You don't have to call me senior. Since Brother Yi thinks highly of you, you can be considered half a brother to me." Gu Qingyu said coldly. Lu Outyan was recognized by Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu as brothers. This made everyone envious. The princes of Lu Lan were jealous. They wanted to greet them, but they were intimidated by Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu's cold aura. They did not even dare to greet them. "Sit down. Servants, bring out a plate of spirit fruits and good wine." As the host, Lu Guyun took on the responsibility of entertaining everyone. Today is the opening ceremony of the sect. In addition, we are giving everyone a chance to recommend themselves. If you have the confidence to join the crazy sect, you can recommend yourself and show us a thing or two. Let us broaden our horizons. Lu Guyun said loudly. Everyone's eyes lit up. Not to mention the education level of the crazy sect, just the generosity of the crazy sect made even Xian Yuanyu and Lu Patian want to scratch their heads and become a deacon or an ordinary disciple. A group of young disciples came down from the inner sect. Among them was a farmer and hunter who looked to be in his 30s. They all looked very ordinary. Only Ren Huangye's temperament was extraordinary. It was unparalleled since ancient times. Although his eyes were closed and he was supported by Yi Mengxi and Jian Qinxue, no one dared to underestimate him. Lin Wuqian followed Emperor Yi with a pitiful look. He did not dare to take half a step forward. It seemed that he had been taught a lesson in the past few days. Emperor Yi, Yi Mengxi, Jian Qinxue, and Wang Shi sat at Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu's table. Outsiders, including Lu Outyan and Lin Wuqian, were not even qualified to eat at the same table with the 3 Tao masters. The insane sect is officially open. Yi Qinghan announced proudly. His arrogance soared into the sky. Humph! Did the crazy sect get the approval of the Stan clan? You dare to establish a 5th-grade crazy sect without even reporting to the Stan Star? How arrogant! An even more arrogant and overbearing voice exploded in the void like thunder, spreading in all directions. The aura was so oppressive that it was difficult to breathe. Even the 3 Tao masters' faces changed. Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu raised their eyebrows and looked at the void at the same time. A large cloud-piercing ship was speeding over. Before entering the atmosphere, 2 terrifying auras stepped out of the cloud-piercing ship and came to the top of the crazy sect. They looked down at everyone, their eyes full of anger and disdain. The young experts of the Stan Star's main bloodline. Their bloodline was ancient. The real Stan Giant's bloodline was full. Their clothes were fluttering, and they were extremely powerful. Chapter 155. The Stan clan had always been strong. The Owlfall Star was the backyard of the Stan clan. How could they allow others to be arrogant? Stan Bahu and Stan Chen Kuang were the top 10 young powerhouses of the Stan clan. They were ranked 8th and 10th respectively. Even in the Owlfall region, they could be ranked. At this moment, they appeared in the Owlfall Star. Even the 3 Tao masters were shocked. After all, their servile nature was deeply rooted. They did not dare to offend them. Yi Qinghan raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a creepy smile that sent chills down everyone's spines. With a wave of his hand, the sect protection formation was removed, allowing the 2 to fly in. As soon as the 2 entered the sect, their faces were full of arrogance. They looked down on everyone in the world. Looking at the extravagance of the sect, they could not help but gasp greedily. Then, they put away their greed and looked coldly at everyone. They scolded, "Why didn't you get up and bow when you saw me? You don't have any respect for the Stan clan. Everyone was shocked. They all got up and bowed. "Greetings, Master Stan." The inner sect of the sect did not move. If Yi Qinghan did not move, they would not move either. Boom, the cloud-piercing ship rushed into the sect. The strong wind blew everyone around. Even the tables were blown away. Many people were injured. "Ha ha ha, this feels good." More than 10 people came down from the large cloud-piercing ship. They were all powerhouses of the Fate Palace realm. They looked very young. It seemed that they had broken through to the Grotto Heaven realm in their 20s and became Fate Palace realm powerhouses in their 30s. They were all arrogant and looked at the embarrassed people with disdain. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Who is the sect master of the sect? Come out." Stan Ba Hu glanced coldly at the more than 10 people from the sect. His murderous intent shocked the 9 heavens. "I am. You came to the sect to make trouble. Have you not thought about the consequences?" Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse. He did not hide his murderous intent. "Consequences? You built the sect without permission and looked down on the Stan clan. Have you not thought about the consequences?" Stan Ba Hu asked in disdain. Yi Qinghan sneered and slowly stood up. His aura rose and his cold eyes could almost freeze a person's heart. "It turns out that I need to report to your Stan Star in order to establish a sect. This is the first time I've heard of it." Yi Qinghan smiled. His smile made people's hair stand on end. It was terrifying. Of course. The Owlfall Star is a subordinate star of the Stan Star. It is the servant of the Stan clan. If you want to build a sect, you must get the approval of the Stan Star. Stan Ba Hu said coldly. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fists and the veins on his azure dragon arm flared up. In such a dense spiritual mountain, he instantly unleashed his peak strength. He stomped on the ground, causing stone fragments to fly everywhere. His figure flashed and disappeared. Extreme Dao Divine Dragon Step. Yi Qinghan had mobilized the entire Owlfall Star's momentum, causing the heavens to crumble and the earth to rend. Boom! At such a close distance, it was so fast that even a Tao master could not react, let alone this group of young people. Their mistake was that they were too arrogant. They were too close to Yi Qinghan. Even if their vital spirit was monstrous, they could not reach the peak in an instant. Hastily fighting with Yi Qinghan in close quarters was courting death. Crack! The crisp sound of broken bones was deafening. Yi Qinghan and Stan Ba Hu were like meteors that smashed into the distance. The flames were monstrous. The profound meaning of water formed a water dragon that wrapped around the two of them and soared into the sky. Ah! Stan Ba Hu's face was ferocious. His shrill roar broke through the clouds. His entire right arm was deformed by the azure dragon arm because of the sudden collision with Yi Qinghan. His bones were broken inch by inch, and golden blood poured into the sky. The tearing pain made his soul temporarily stop thinking. Downward blow. Yi Qinghan's iron fist turned into a palm and directly imprinted on Stan Ba Hu's chest. His back bulged, showing a 5-fingered palm print. His chi and blood spurted out, like a blood sword piercing through the air. However, this was not the end. Yi Qinghan changed his moves smoothly. He flipped his hand and gently raised it. His big hand directly clasped Stan Ba Hu's throat, controlling his blood and vital spirit to prevent him from exploding. His body suddenly swayed and returned to the front of the crowd. He held Stan Ba Hu's neck like this, shocking all the heroes. Gulp, everyone swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Even the experts of Stan Ba Hu's bloodline were stunned. Now I report to you that I want to establish the crazy sect. Great expert of Stan Ba Hu's bloodline, do you agree? Yi Qinghan slowly sat down and pressed down on Stan Ba Hu's body. Stan Ba Hu's terrifying body was forced to kneel in front of Yi Qinghan. His face was ferocious and his body was constantly twisting, trying to break free from Yi Qinghan's restraint. But he couldn't move no matter how hard he tried. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. How was this asking for advice? This was clearly a crazy provocation of Stan Ba Hu's bloodline. Too crazy, too arrogant, too overbearing. With just one punch, he had sent the top 10 experts of the younger generation of the Stan's main bloodline flying while coughing up blood. Even the bones in his hand had been crushed. Now, he was even holding onto his neck, forcing him to kneel down. It was simply a great irony for him to ask for permission. Gu Qinyu sneered, opened a jar of the best purple light wine, poured a big bowl, and drank it. He didn't even bother to look at these people. Me too. Give me a bowl. Yi Mingxi looked at the purple light wine with sparkling eyes. This was her favorite wine when she was young. Although she would fall down after drinking it, it didn't affect her love for purple light wine. At this time, she didn't even have the interest to look at the experts of Stan Ba Hu. In her eyes, with her brother around, she didn't have to worry even if the sky fell. Emperor Yi raised his eyebrows slightly and was about to open his eyes. The divine Guqin imprint in his palm was restless, ready to support Yi Qinghan at any time. Don't bother about them. Come, let's continue drinking. Gu Qinyu was disdainful. He waved his hand and poured a bowl of purple light wine for everyone. The fragrance assailed their noses. The people of Stan clan were arrogant just now, but now their mouths were twitching. They didn't dare to move. I asked if you agree. What do you mean by silence? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Hiss, Stan Ba Hu's neck was almost twisted out of shape. His face was flushed with blood, and his eyes were overflowing with essence blood. He clenched his teeth and wanted to stand up, but Yi Qinghan raised the corner of his mouth and smiled disdainfully. His azure dragon arm exerted more force and shattered the stone floor. Kacha, Stan Ba Hu's kneecap hit the stone, and stone chips flew everywhere. What, you still want to stand up? I don't like to look up at others. If I sit, you can only kneel, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Stan Ba Hu grabbed Yi Qinghan's collar with his left hand and wanted to stand up, but Yi Qinghan grabbed him and broke his hand. Pa 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 pa, Yi Qinghan slapped Stan Ba Hu's face a few times, causing his face to swell and flesh to fly everywhere. If I tell you to kneel, you will kneel obediently. If you dare to move again, I will break your limbs. The hoarse voice was full of dominance and rushed into Stan Ba Hu's sea of consciousness with a supreme will. Stan Ba Hu was shocked on the spot and didn't dare to move. You are courting death. How dare you disrespect my Stan clan? Today is the opening ceremony of your crazy sect, and it is also the day of your sect's demise. Stan Ba Hu was furious and shouted at Yi Kongcheng and the others, take down this traitor for me, or the Stan Star will punish you. Lu Guyun and the others' mouths twitched. They clenched their iron fists and looked at Yi Qinghan, waiting for instructions. Yi Qinghan smiled disdainfully and said proudly, they don't dare to attack me. Why don't you do it? If you have the guts, let go of my 14th brother first. I will blow your head off with one punch. Stan Ba Hu was disdainful. He only thought that Yi Qinghan was just a sneak attack and didn't have any real ability. Ha ha ha, good. I like men with courage like you. Yi Qinghan's azure dragon arm exerted force and slammed Stan Ba Hu to the ground. He lifted his foot and kicked him directly into the ground. The stone floor cracked and blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Puff, how could Stan Ba Hu withstand Yi Qinghan's violent attack? He spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted on the spot. It was too brutal. He was one of the top 10 young masters of the Stan Star's main bloodline. Although his ranking was very low, he was beaten like this and lost his face. After today, his Dao heart might be shattered by Yi Qinghan. Oh my God, this is the rhythm of starting a war with the Stan Star. Yi Kongcheng and the others broke out in cold sweat and their heartbeats accelerated. In their eyes, the stand star was a giant. Any side branch could sweep away the Owlfall star. Now that the main bloodline had come, they were beaten up. Moreover, it was a brutal beating. This was too crazy. No wonder the sect was called the Crazy Sect. The people of the Stand Star were furious and wanted to punch Yi Qinghan. You are the first one who dared to provoke the Stand Star bloodline. Today, you will pay a heavy price. Stan Ba, who was trembling. He was obviously angry. Seeing that Lu Guyun and the others didn't make a move, he knew that these few people were definitely not enough. He turned to the others and shouted, "Inform the Stand Star that today I will smash the Crazy Sect and your palace." Boom! Yi Qinghan kicked Stan Ba Hu in the middle of his waist and sent him flying dozens of meters away. He crashed into a dozen tables and his face hit the stone dragon at the gate of the Crazy Sect. The stone dragon emitted a sect protection array, and his face was flattened. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere. His originally handsome face became extremely ugly. Fuck you. You are too crazy. 7 or 8 strong men of the Stand Star rushed over and waved their iron fists at Yi Qinghan. The momentum was magnificent, and the spiritual energy surged. The sect protection array was activated again, and the divine light shone brightly. Even if their battle power was monstrous, they could not destroy the Crazy Sect. I am so crazy. Let's see what your Stand Star can do to me. Yi Qinghan used the extreme divine dragon steps. He did not want to hide his strength at all. The strongest battle power and the strongest speed burst out instantly. The azure dragon arm could almost penetrate the sky. Each punch could break the arm of a strong person. All of them collided head-on and were extremely overbearing. Boom boom boom, punches, whip kicks, knee strikes, elbow strikes. It was the body refining school that the Stand Star was best at. Yi Qinghan fought with force. The sound of broken bones was endless, and blood and flesh splattered everywhere. The hand bones of a few young people with weaker cultivation were directly broken by him. In less than 3 breaths, all of them fell down, screaming miserably. Yi Qinghan was covered in blood. The flesh of the azure dragon arm exploded. The golden battle bones were terrifying and gloomy, exuding a chilling aura. It was like the skeleton of an ancient beast. His body stood proudly in the center of the battlefield, as overbearing as a war god. It made everyone understand why the sect he established was called the Crazy Sect. Everyone in the sect held their breaths. Only Gu Qingyu continued to drink the spirit wine without raising his head. Chapter 156. Everyone's heart was beating wildly, and some did not dare to look directly at Yi Qinghan. A gust of wind blew past, and the hair on his temples fluttered. His side profile made the mountains and rivers lose their color. The corner of his mouth was slightly raised, and his arrogant and unruly face bloomed with a different temperament. The azure dragon arm glowed with golden light and quickly repaired itself. Ouch! Ah! Si Qinquang and the others screamed and rolled around. They had the strongest combat power and the advantage of a higher realm, but they could not use it. They were completely crushed by Yi Qinghan. The distance was too close, and both sides were too fast. They did not have time to make any big moves. They relied on their physical body, speed, and close combat skills. But who dared to say that these 3 were more terrifying than Yi Qinghan? Yi Qinghan was the ancestor of close combat, and his skills were at the peak. The ancient bloodline of the Stand Star could not withstand Yi Qinghan's physical body. Si Qinquang lost unjustly. In the end, he did not understand how 7 or 8 people could still lose against one person. There was dead silence in the martial arts arena. The array shone brightly and instantly repaired the damage of the Crazy Sect. The spiritual energy was overwhelming. Clang, Little Mengshi drank a bowl of spiritual wine, and in the blink of an eye, she fell down from the stool. Her face was red, and she fainted, breaking the silence of the crazy sect. Gu Qingyu raised his eyebrows. He had never seen such a poor drinker who still wanted to drink. Wang Shi and Jian Qinshue quickly got up and took Yi Mengshi back to the inner sect of the crazy sect. They did not want to worry about these things in the sect. You will regret it today. You dare to attack the disciples of the Stand Star. You will definitely be mercilessly suppressed by the main star. A young man ran out of the cloud-piercing ship with a pale face. He looked at the geniuses of the Stand Star who had fallen to the ground. He wanted to drive the cloud-piercing ship to escape, but he did not dare to. At this moment, he could only glare at Yi Qinghan in horror. The faces of the major sects, clans, and dynasties turned pale. Yi Qinghan dared to provoke the Stand Star, but they did not. In their eyes, the people of the Owl Falling Star were the slaves of the Stand Star lineage. Anyone from the Stand Star would be treated as their master and be deeply enslaved. Lu Guyun and the others' expressions were also extremely ugly. They looked at Yi Qinghan together, but discovered that he had an indifferent look, and their hearts calmed down slightly. Set the table and continue serving. Yi Qinghan ordered forcefully. Everyone looked at each other and hesitated. But when they saw Yi Qinghan's eyes, which contained the will to split the sky, they did not dare to disobey. They lifted the table and helped clean up the surroundings, waiting for the people from the outer sect of the Kuang sect to serve the dishes. Soon, the table was once again filled with spiritual fruits and dishes. The ordinary purple light wine was almost limitless, making everyone drool. The purple light wine exuded a soul-stirring spiritual energy, making people's blood boil and their blood boil, wanting to break through the shackles. In the time it took to eat a meal, the spiritual wine and the rich spiritual energy of the Kuang sect caused hundreds of people to break through a small realm, making them ecstatic. Many people began to recommend themselves and began to perform. Unfortunately, they were all rejected outside the door and did not even get the identity of the outer sect. Everyone could not help but feel disappointed. Royal families, clans, and sects of third rank and above can recommend a disciple, but I hope you will treat this quota seriously. At the very least, his temperament must pass. Otherwise, even if he enters the outer sect, I will kick him out. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He was ready to condense the Owl Falling Star through the outer sect. Although there were not many geniuses on this small star, it was because of the environment. There was not much spiritual energy. With him around, there was no need to worry about the lack of spiritual energy. Even if this star was weak, it could be forged into an iron bucket. As long as a superstar formation was built and combined with the power of heaven and earth, it could block the attack of a great martial venerable. When the crowd saw this, they were overjoyed. This was the best opportunity. In addition, the outer sect is also the place where the family heads and the emperor retire. As long as you meet the requirements, you can apply to enter the outer sect to cultivate and retire. Whoosh! The crowd stood up excitedly. The spiritual energy here was amazing. If they could retire here, most of them could live longer and maybe even break through to the next realm. With the guidance of the 3 Tao Masters, it would not be a problem for them to live for another 30 to 50 years. Thank you for your kindness, sect leader. The crowd bowed and was overjoyed. Yi Qinghan smiled. Obviously, he wanted to tie up the big forces. As long as the leaders of the big forces were tied up, they would not be afraid of running away. This time, they were preparing to build the star formation. The control of the formation would be reserved for the inner sect disciples. No one else could get a share of it. In addition, if any force can recommend a disciple to enter the inner sect, they will be able to get a place in the outer sect. The disciples who can enter the inner sect are definitely talented, pure, and have a strong will. I don't care if they are from a rich or powerful family because the crazy sect is the #1 rich or powerful family. So, let's dig out more ordinary people from your forces. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan's move was destined to dig out the geniuses at the bottom of the Owl Star and cultivate them. The crazy sect would be able to rival the other rank 5 sects in a short time. Gu Qingyu listened to Yi Qinghan's words and nodded involuntarily. He felt that this was a good idea. If you need to build the star formation, just tell me if you need it. The environment here is good. I can choose a place to rebuild my bone sword mountain. Gu Qingyu said coldly. Ha ha ha, the star formation naturally needs you. I am not strong enough to build it now. Yi Qinghan laughed. It would be best if Gu Qingyu stayed. With the Kuei cow as a natural barrier, anyone who wanted to destroy the Owl Star would have to think carefully. However, there would always be lunatics. If they went crazy, the entire Owl Star would be finished. It was necessary to build the star formation. One's life was in one's own hands. The ceremony lasted for a day. When everyone was about to leave, another large cloud-piercing ship appeared and hung above the Owl Star. Its power suppressed the great path of the heavens. More than 10 experts flew out of the cloud-piercing ship. Half of them were young people. All the young experts of the previous generation of the Stand Star had gathered. There were also a few Tao masters of the older generation. They looked down at the Owl Star and found Stan Chenquang, Stan Bahu and the others hanging under a mountain in front of the crazy sect. They could not help but be furious. You are courting death. How dare you humiliate the Stan bloodline? Have you eaten a leopard's gall? The elder of the Stan bloodline, Stan Tao, was burning with anger. He led the crowd to the top of the crazy sect. Middle-level Tao master. As soon as the momentum was released, it shocked the 9 heavens. Yi Kongqing, Xianyuan Qinshao and the others turned pale. They could not help but look at Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu. Surround them and kill them. Leave no one alive. Swish. The people of the Stand Star formed a big array and surrounded the crazy sect tightly. No one could get out. Yi Qinghan shook and the god-slaying eagle supported him. The wings that covered the sky roared and the demon dragon saber appeared in his hand. He shouted at the 3 experts, "You are now the people of the crazy sect, not the slaves of the Stand Star. Today, show your courage. Whoever dares to betray the Owl Star will die." Buzz, Zhang Di chanted, and a murderous aura spread. It was like a golden spear and an armored horse galloping. It was vigorous and exciting. It made everyone's blood boil and wanted to go to the battlefield to kill the enemy. Fight! Lu Guyun was a general after all. How could he be afraid of death? His armor fluttered, and a golden war spear appeared in his hand. It was as if he had returned to the past, when he led countless Lu family members to conquer the vast country. Countless corpses and bones, and blood stained the battlefield. Yi Kongqing and Xianyuan Qinshao had an inexplicable confidence in Yi Qinghan. They felt that today's matter would not be a one-sided defeat. They immediately rushed up. Gu Qingyu's fingertips trembled, and a sharp sword appeared in his hand. His fingertips flicked the sword's edge, and it let out a dragon's sword cry. A strand of sky-splitting sword chi rushed into the sky. Since you want to fight, count me in. I also want to see if the Stand Star is really that powerful. Swish! Gu Qingyu's silhouette flickered and he appeared beside Yi Qinghan. He looked down at Stantar with a mocking smile. The experts of the Stan family were frightened by Gu Qingyu's gaze. They flew backward frantically, and their eyes were full of horror. You are Gu Qingyu of the Bone Sword Peak. Stantar shouted in horror. It seems like my reputation is still quite great, able to be recognized even on this small planet. Gu Qingyu shrugged. He hugged his sword and stood there, turning into a heaven-shaking divine sword that towered between heaven and earth. Senior, we didn't know you were here. Please forgive us for offending you. Stantar bowed and said. He did not dare to offend Gu Qingyu. Few young experts of the Star knew Gu Qingyu. After all, when Gu Qingyu was young, they were still in swaddling clothes. When Gu Qingyu retired from the Bone Sword Peak, they officially started. Many families acted as if they did not know about the battle 8 years ago. They also allowed their disciples to discuss among themselves. Therefore, even the top 10 young experts of the Star did not know Gu Qingyu. The top 3 young experts of the Star had already entered the realm of Tao Master. They looked down on all living things. They were full of the aura of a king. They were confident that they were invincible under the great martial venerable. Seeing Gu Qingyu so young, they were not afraid at all. Stan Xiaohou, ranked second, had unparalleled fighting strength and pure bloodline. He was deeply loved by the Star Lord and received the true inheritance of the Star Lord. At this moment, he looked at Gu Qingyu arrogantly and said disdainfully. Gu Qingyu. Who is that? A nobody dares to go against the Star. Stantar was shocked. This reckless junior dared to talk to Gu Qingyu like this. Even if the Star Lord came, he would have to respectfully call him Brother Gu. Shut up. This is Senior Gu Qingyu, one of the 3 supreme battle kings of the Xiaolong region. He is on the same level as the Star Lord. How can he allow a junior like you to talk nonsense? Why don't you apologize to the senior? Stantar angrily rebuked. 6th uncle, when did the Stan family fall to the point of apologizing to others? What supreme battle king? I have never heard of it. Is the supreme battle king of the older generation like him? Stan Xiaohou said disdainfully. Stantar's face was pale and his body trembled with anger. He looked at the young experts of the Stan family and found that they were all eager to fight. His heart turned cold. Supreme Battle King. No one has occupied this title for hundreds of years. Your cultivation is only at the realm of Tao Master. What qualifications do you have to be titled Supreme Battle King? I, Stan Zhengquang, would like to see it. Please enlighten me. A hoarse voice was full of dominance. The supreme bloodline shrouded the Milky Way and almost penetrated the universe. The tyrannical fighting spirit and unparalleled fighting strength appeared. It was not a provocative challenge, but the disdain in the tone was self-evident. Chapter 157. Please enlighten me, Battle King. His words were full of disdain and battle intent, and he stood proudly. Stan Star's number 1 expert of the younger generation, Stan Zhengquang, floated out. He was 189 meters tall, but he didn't look boorish. Instead, he looked vigorous. His black clothes fluttered, and his black hair fluttered. He could definitely be counted as the strongest of the younger generation of Xiaolong region. However, he could only be counted as the strongest of the younger generation. He had provoked the wrong person, because Gu Qingyu was one of the 3 most terrifying people of the older generation. Among those 3, Yi Qinghan was reborn, and Situ Qingjun was in the ancient battlefield. In terms of one-on-one combat, other than Xiaolong region's domain master, no one dared to say that they could last more than 1,000 moves. The younger generation of Stan Star is really interesting. You dare to talk to me like this? Does Stan Khan know? Gu Qingyu looked down at the people of Stan Star and revealed a strange smile. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. He didn't expect that Gu Qingyu had only been silent for 200 years, and the younger generation of the major families didn't know him. Impudent. You dare to call my Star Lord's name directly. I gave you face, but you don't want it. Do you really think you're a supreme battle king? Gu Qingyu. I have never heard of him before. Stan Zhengquang was furious. His aura erupted, and he used the berserk technique. His bloodline erupted, and a terrifying pressure soared into the galaxy. Never heard of him. Don't worry, I'll let you see. Gu Qingyu sneered. He transformed into a divine sword and disappeared without a trace. He raised his hand and swung it over. The sky was filled with palm shadows, and it broke through the void. Its speed was so fast that it was impossible to dodge. Stan Zhengquang was shocked. His blood boiled, and the sharp sword in his hand shattered time and space. It surrounded his body tightly. Pa! 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 More than 10 consecutive slaps resounded through the sky, and blood splashed everywhere. Stan Zhengquang felt dizzy and was unable to resist Gu Qingyu. No matter how powerful he was, standing in front of Gu Qingyu was like facing a Star Lord. No, it was even more terrifying than facing Stan Khan. He had no power to resist at all. Gu Qingyu raised 2 fingers on his left hand and directly clamped Stan Zhengquang's sword. No matter how hard Stan Zhengquang tried, he couldn't escape from Gu Qingyu's restraint. Gu Qingyu's right hand was constantly waving, slapping Stan Zhengquang's face fiercely. Pa! Pa! After another dozen slaps, Stan Zhengquang was stunned. He didn't know how to let go of the sword in his hand. He even wanted to draw his sword and escape, so he was continuously slapped until he didn't know what to do. You have never heard of my name. Do you remember it now? Gu Qingyu's sharp gaze was like a sword pressing against Stan Zhengquang's forehead, making him break out in cold sweat like a heavy downpour. The Stan clan members held their breaths and held their weapons, not daring to draw them. Stan Tao was even more terrified. There's no need for that. He challenged me to a duel and asked for my guidance. As his senior, I naturally have to give him some guidance. Senior. Stan Jun swallowed a mouthful of saliva. His face was swollen and deformed from the slap. He no longer looked as handsome as before. Which one do you want me to teach you? Pa. 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 But let me warn you, if I use my sword, people will die. Gu Qingyu faintly said. Pa. Gu Qingyu was calm when he was still, but when he moved, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The sword qi around his body was fierce, and his gaze could penetrate people's hearts. This made Stan Zhengquang break out in cold sweat. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva, not knowing what to do. Senior, please show mercy. I will take this group of ignorant children away from here. In the future, Stan's bloodline will never step foot on Owlfall Star. Stan Tar was shocked. He knew that Gu Qingyu was merciless. Not to mention Stan Zhengquang, even he wouldn't be able to take a single blow. Asking Gu Qingyu to teach him a lesson was akin to asking for death. Only then did Stan Zhengquang realize that Gu Qingyu was really a supreme battle king of the older generation, not a member of the younger generation. Instantly, he stopped being arrogant and bowed. Junior knows his mistake. Pa. 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 Gu Qingyu was disdainful. He coldly looked at Stan and said overbearingly, "Tell Stan Khan to come and see me. If he doesn't come, I'll go to Stan Star." The Star Master of a Star was being ordered around by him in such a threatening tone. The people of the Stan Star did not dare to say anything. Stan Tao shivered and personally went to the cloud-piercing ship. Through the long-distance sound transmission system, he reported everything that had happened here without hiding anything. On the Stan Star, there was a majestic ancient city. It was majestic and magnificent, emitting the patterns of the great Tao. The aura of the profound meaning was full. The star formation could withstand the joint attack of a great revered martial artist for 10 years without falling. At this moment, a burly man who seemed to be in his 40s woke up from his cultivation. He had a strong aura of a ruler. When he saw the communication talisman at his waist shining with a golden light, he frowned. When he probed with his spiritual sense, he was shocked. Gu Qingyu. Pa. 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 Damn it, this group of reckless juniors actually dared to provoke him. This is infuriating. Whoosh. Haha, Brother Gu, you should inform me that you're coming to the Stan subsidiary star zone so that I can prepare a good reception. Stan Khan had not arrived, but his voice had arrived. He had taken the initiative to express goodwill. Where was the domineering aura of Stan Star Lord? Fortunately, I didn't visit the Stan Star. Otherwise, wouldn't I have been beaten out of the Stan Star by the younger generation? Gu Qingyu said with disdain, not giving the slightest face. Stan Khan instantly broke through the void and descended on the sky of Owl Fall Star like an ordinary middle-aged man. He did not dare to emit the slightest bit of arrogant aura. It doesn't matter if they don't understand. What's important is that you understand. I've taken a fancy to this Owl Fall Star. I'm planning to make it a place for me to retire. Gu Qingyu said indifferently. What's mine is yours. It's Owl Fall's blessing that you've taken a fancy to it. From today onwards, Owl Fall belongs to you. You're the Star Master. You and Stan Star are brothers. There's no difference between big and small, Stan Khan said solemnly. Pa. 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 The corner of Gu Qingyu's mouth rose, and his face was full of disdain. He knew that Stan Khan wasn't so easy to talk to. He was just afraid of his strength. If it was someone else who dared to say this to him, they would have already fought. In this life, Khan Stan had lost twice. The first time was to Yi Qinghan, and the second time was to Gu Qingyu. Khan Stan was only afraid of these two people. If the Star Lords of other stars came to ask for Owl Falling Star today, he would have already punched them. Khan Stanner said righteously and loudly, Stanner, immediately go back and prepare 100 million low-grade, 10 million middle-grade, and 3,000 high-grade spirit crystals, spirit herbs, and spirit herbs. Also, bring some good secret techniques to support my brother's great cause of establishing a sect. Pa. Pa. I like it. Pa. 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 Only then did Khan Stan notice Yi Qinghan and the parrot on his shoulder. The light in his eyes shrank, his body trembled slightly, and he took a step back. His face instantly turned pale, and his eyes were filled with horror. You are. Khan Stan shuddered and was at a loss for words. Pa. Pa. So it's fellow Taoist who wants to establish a sect. Well said, I fully support it. Khan Stan's heart was in a mess. His palms were sweaty as he cried out in his heart, this is impossible. How can his aura be so similar to his? How do you intend to support us? Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and asked. Khan Stan's heart shrank as he confirmed Yi Qinghan's identity. He thought to himself, it's really him. How lucky was he? If Emperor Xinyi were to know about this, I'm afraid the entire Xiaolong region would be implicated. I've decided to use 30% of Stan Star's resources to help you build your sect. Khan Stan said in a deep voice. What? Is the Star Master crazy? Stantar was shocked. He wanted to stop Yi Qinghan, but he was shocked by Khan Stantar's cold gaze. He was puzzled. He did not understand why Yi Qinghan had completely changed the Star Master's plan the moment he spoke. Many of the Stan Star's geniuses were unwilling. 30% of the resources was already enough to affect them. This meant that their resources would be reduced by 30%. No one could bear it. Nor was he willing to accept it. 30% of the resources. Brother Si Tan is really willing to part with it, making me feel fear and trepidation. Yi Qinghan already knew that Khan Stan had recognized him, but he did not expect this guy to be willing to use 30% of the resources to help him build his sect. Ha ha ha, it's really you. I thought I recognized the wrong person. Shall we go to Stan Star to catch up? Khan Stan laughed and said immediately. Let's go to Xiaoyun Star, Yi Qinghan said faintly. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect the real protagonist to be this Grotto Heaven Realm youth, not Gu Qingyu, nor the star master of a large star, Khan Stan. Who is this person? Why is the star master so respectful? He is willing to give up 30% of the resources to support him in building his sect. Everyone was shocked and could not calm down for a long time. Chapter 158. On Owlfall Star, the sky was clear and white. The vast sky could be clearly seen. Khan Stan and Gu Qingyu walked side by side with Yi Qinghan and descended on Lulan. Everyone's body trembled slightly as they looked at Yi Qinghan's back in disbelief. They felt that their worldview had been overturned today. Their outlook on life and values had changed. Since when could a rookie in the Tao Insight realm stand side by side with a great martial venerable in the Tao Master realm? Since when did a great martial venerable begin to curry favor with someone in the Tao Insight realm? At this moment, Yi Qinghan, Yi Kongqing, Xianyuan Qinshao, and the others truly submitted to Yi Qinghan. Even the Star Lord of Stan Star was respectful to him. Was there anything he couldn't do? In the crazy sect, Stan Khan looked at the luxurious arrangement and didn't have much comment. Instead, he felt that Yi Qinghan was indeed poor, so he put so many spiritual crystals. If it was in the Yi family's mansion on Owl Fighting Star, the spiritual crystals would be piled up like a mountain. The heaven-shaking spirit-gathering formation would be enough to devour the spiritual energy at the end of the Xing River and absorb countless luck to support the Yi family. That would be a real big deal. If it weren't for the betrayal of the family, the Yi family would definitely be promoted to level 6. Brother Yi, can you let the real genius of the Stan clan join the crazy sect? Stan Khan asked seriously. Stan Zhengquang. Yi Qinghan frowned. Stan Zhengquang's talent was level 4, but in his opinion, he was still lacking a little and was not suitable to join the inner sect. No. My Stan clan has a child with the bloodline of the ancient era, the golden bloodline. He's only 8 years old this year and is completely a piece of unpolished jade. I don't dare to let him out, nor do I dare to cultivate him indiscriminately. I'm afraid that I'll cultivate him into a monster and waste this good seedling. If I can give him to you to cultivate, I believe that he will be able to restore the ancient glory of the Stan clan. Stan Khan shielded the surroundings so that only the three of them could hear him. Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu's bodies shook at the same time, and a ray of light shot out of their eyes. Golden bloodline. On the day of birth, his blood was golden. He was a genius with the accumulation of spiritual energy. Once he grew up, his body would be as hard as a weapon. He could tear the stars and trample the Milky Way. He was absolutely unparalleled. You're willing to let me raise him? Yi Qinghan asked with a frown. Of course. He has the strongest bloodline of the Stan clan. I don't dare to say that I can nurture him into an existence as powerful as our ancestor. He can fight against 10,000 races, tear apart evil spirits, and burn down the forbidden lands once his chi and blood are ignited. If I ruin it, not only will I be ashamed to face my ancestors, but I will also be ashamed to face the human race. Stan Khan was excited as he looked up into the void. He thought back to the desolate era when the Stan golden bloodline ancestor's entire body was like pure gold. His bloodline was pure yang and could suppress all evil. He fought his way into the vicious spirit forbidden land 3 times and retreated 3 times while bathed in blood. He tore apart 3 peerless vicious spirits. Just thinking about it made his blood boil. In the entire endless universe, I can only believe in you. You won't covet the origin of the golden bloodline. I beg Brother Yi to accept him and teach him. I will do my best to help you take revenge. Khan Stan bowed respectfully. Yi Qinghan clenched his fist as a glint flashed in his eyes. He thought to himself, if I really take the golden bloodline into the inner sect, Stan Khan will never betray me. Moreover, the golden bloodline is one of the strongest bloodlines in the ancient times. It's one of the best weapons against 10,000 races and vicious spirit forbidden lands. I'm afraid it's not inferior to the Zither Immortal's Crimson Demon physique. It's definitely worth nurturing. Where is he? Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse and low as he asked in a serious tone. In the Stan Star, the Stan bloodline's forbidden land. If Brother Yi agrees, I can bring him here immediately, Khan Stan said excitedly. Bring him here, Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment and said in a deep voice. Khan Stan shattered the void and disappeared from the insane sect. He went straight to the Stan Star and collected a large number of treasures and spirit crystals. He also brought a child-emitting golden light back to the Owlfall Star. The terrifying bloodline pressure suppressed everything. Even Khan Stan's bloodline was suppressed, and his blood flow rapidly slowed down. The golden bloodline was the #1 bloodline of all time when it came to dealing with the ferocious spirits in the Forbidden Land. No one dared to say that they had an absolute advantage over the ferocious spirits in the Forbidden Land, but the golden bloodline dared. The child's eyes were like the scorching sun, looking down on all living things. Although he had only entered the Grotto Heaven realm through simple cultivation, his combat power was unparalleled. He could also kill those in the Fate Palace realm. Once he was trained by Yi Qinghan, he would definitely be a supreme existence. The appearance of the golden bloodline immediately attracted the interest of Emperor Yi and Yimengshi. Fortunately, there were not many people in the inner sect at the moment. Otherwise, it would definitely cause an uproar. In the entire Stan Star, only the child's parents and Khan Stan knew about it. The midwife and other people who knew about the inside story were all suppressed by the iron blood. Now, even Stan Jun Kuang and the others did not know about the existence of this child. What a strong bloodline power, Emperor Yi whispered as his eyebrows trembled. He, I can see the golden yang qi flowing in his bloodline. Yimengshi stared at the child with great interest and sized him up carefully. She could not wait to pinch his pink and white cheeks. Her qi blood was not suppressed at all. Gu Qingyu flicked the hilt of his sword lightly. His eyes were full of radiance. This is a true genius. A true special bloodline. Xian Wuyu and the others would be instantly defeated, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Brother Stan, what's his name? Stan Wuxia. Wherever the golden bloodline passes, evil will be destroyed. There will be no evil in the world, Khan Stan said excitedly. Stan Wuxia's eyes were like torches as he scanned the crowd. The flames in his eyes could almost burn the ice. Little brother Wuxia, quickly call me big sister. Yimengshi reached out her small hand to pinch Stan Wuxia's cheeks. Khan Stan was shocked and quickly shouted, don't, boom. Stan Wuxia's majesty was monstrous. He was born as an emperor. How could he allow others to blaspheme him? He clenched his small fist and golden blood surged. It shocked the heavens and the earth. The great Tao of the heavens also shook. Yimengshi's qi and blood were normal. She was not affected at all. Her figure flashed as she used the extreme Tao divine dragon steps. She brushed past Stan Wuxia's small hand and pinched his cheeks with all 5 fingers. Then, she escaped from the inner sect. Stan Wuxia was enraged. His golden fist pierced through the heavens. His aura tore through the air and rushed toward Ren Huangyi. There was no time for him to stop. Emperor Yi played the guqin with his 5 fingers. The guqin's 9 strings snapped. A wisp of guqin music turned into the sharpest sound blade and pierced through the air to block the fist. His eyes suddenly opened. His black pupils collided with the golden scorching sun god eyes. Qi rushed into the galaxy and a destructive aura filled the air. Wah! Puff! As someone with the golden bloodline, Stan Wuxia spat out a mouthful of essence blood. His face was pale and he took a few steps back. He looked at Emperor Ye's eyes in disbelief. The golden light in his eyes suddenly dimmed. He quickly turned his head and did not dare to look at Emperor Yi. Emperor Ye's body was twisted. His dark eyes were bleeding. His face was as white as paper. However, his young body did not retreat. He stood rooted to the ground. Khan Stan was shocked. The golden bloodline was glorious for eternity. He did not expect to be played by Yi Mingxi in the blink of an eye. He actually lost to Emperor Yi. This. Khan Stan was speechless and did not know how to speak. Without any guidance, you are already not bad to be able to injure my son. Yi Qinghan shook his head lightly. He did not feel that Emperor Yi winning against Stan Wuxia was something to be proud of. What kind of system does she have? Khan Stan was very puzzled. There were not many who could be compared to the golden bloodline. There were even fewer who could win against it. Have you gone senile? Didn't you see the weapon she used? Yi Qinghan said coldly. Zither immortal crimson demon physique. Khan Stan took a deep breath. Only then did he notice that the birthmark of the divine Zither in Emperor Ye's palm was emitting a divine light. It was constantly squirming as if the host was threatened and wanted to appear to destroy all the enemies in front of him. What about that little girl just now? Her vital energy and blood were clearly not affected at all. Khan Stan felt like he was going crazy. The golden bloodline was glorious during the primordial era. He could not accept losing 2 matches in a row today. I don't know. I can't see anything special about her constitution. However, I can guarantee that she is definitely not of a mortal body. Yi Qinghan guaranteed. The arrogance of the eccentric sect was indescribable. The golden bloodline was not the strongest here. Khan Stan was more and more convinced that handing Stan Wuxia over to Yi Qinghan for guidance was the best choice. He bowed and said, I'll have to trouble Brother Yi. The glory of my Stan bloodline depends on him. Do your best. Even if you can't prove your Tao, you can at least nurture her to the divine martial realm. Yi Qinghan nodded and said. I seem to have seen the coming of the primordial era. Countless heroes have fallen. Corpses have fallen from the sky. Blood rain poured down. Ferocious spirits roared. The human race in the universe is struggling bitterly. The parrot was rarely serious as it looked at Stan Wuxia with anticipation. Ahem, Brother Yi, the people around you are not ordinary. Even this bird has a special origin, right? Khan Stan asked with a smile. Without waiting for Yi Qinghan's reply, the parrot said with a smug face, yes, you have good taste. You deserve to be a Star Lord. I am the divine emperor of beasts, the spirit-devouring divine eagle. Spirit-devouring divine eagle? What kind of species was that? Never heard of it. Not to mention that Khan Stan had never heard of it, even Yi Qinghan had never heard of such an existence back then. Khan Stan laughed and thought that he was ignorant. He quickly changed the topic and said, Brother Yi, I have prepared some treasures and spiritual crystals for you. Please accept them as a token of my sincerity. Yi Qinghan accepted them without hesitation. He found that there were a large number of spiritual crystals, upper grade, middle grade, and lower grade in this 5th grade universe ring. There were also a large number of panaceas, which were suitable for any cultivator below the middle level of Tao Master. From weak to strong, they were priceless. Thank you, Taoism peer. These things are what I lack, so I won't stand on ceremony with you, Yi Qinghan said faintly. Everything had been settled. Khan Stan took Stan Wuxia's hand and pointed at Yi Qinghan. He said in a deep voice, Wuxia, from today on, he will teach you how to practice. He is your master. You can't blaspheme your master's dignity. Do you understand? The 8-year-old Stan Wuxia looked at Yi Qinghan with the purest eyes. There was no disdain in his eyes, but he was very confused. Yi Qinghan was obviously not as powerful as Khan Stan. Why did he want to worship him as his master instead of being taught by his ancestor? Chapter 159. In the inner sect, even though the disciples had amazing willpower, they were still shocked by the 8-year-old Stan Wuxia. That kind of respect came from the soul. That kind of willpower was enough to crush everything. The supreme glory of the antiquity age reappeared, and he was destined to have an extraordinary life. Are you wondering why my cultivation is not as good as your ancestors, but I am qualified to teach you, while your ancestor doesn't dare to? Yi Qinghan looked at the confusion in Stan Wuxia's eyes and asked seriously. Now was the best time to subdue the child. Family and friendship had to be instilled. This kind of terrifying monster was much more intelligent than the average person. Once the control failed, it would be a catastrophe. Yes. I want to know why. Stan Wuxia nodded and said seriously. A person's strength is not only reflected in the fist, but also the soul. My soul is several times stronger than your ancestors. This is why I can teach you. Yi Qinghan whispered. This is Emperor Yi. She has the zither immortal crimson demon body, which is hard to come by. Her physique is not inferior to yours. When you fought with her, although she fought hastily, she still defeated you. Although you didn't use your full strength, she didn't use half of her strength either. Therefore, don't think that the golden bloodline is the best bloodline of all time. The vastness of the universe is beyond your imagination. There are too many unknowns that will catch you off guard. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand that you can have pride, but don't be arrogant and think that you are the best in the world. You will be dispirited after losing once. This kind of person is not suitable for cultivation. A true expert moves forward through difficulties and bumps. Your ancestor's path was not smooth either. However, after being defeated, he will always become stronger. Do you understand? Is there no one who can win every battle and kill all the way to the Forbidden Land? Stan Wuxia raised his head and asked. It's rare. There hasn't been one since the antiquity age. For example, no matter how strong I am, I can't withstand the encirclement of 100 revered martial artists. Like you, didn't you lose the battle just now? No one can be truly invincible. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. I understand. Thank you, Master, for clearing my doubts, Si Wuxia said respectfully. Alright, I don't care about that level of formality. It's enough that you have me as your master in your heart. Emperor Yi is your eldest senior sister, and for the time being, I will only accept the two of you as my disciples. In the future, you must support each other and help each other. You can fight against each other, but you must not fight against each other. Do you understand? I understand. Senior sister is my elder sister, she's my family. I won't do anything to her in the future. I'm a man, should protect her. Outside the void, Yi Qinghan and the two martial venerables were overlooking the galaxy. Owl Fall Star was reflected in their eyes. The Kuei cow hid in the depths of the blood prison, no longer coming out. Owl Falling Star became abnormally quiet. I want to use the blood prison as the eye of the formation to lay down the 9 revolution heavenly thunder star formation. As long as the blood prison doesn't wither and the formation doesn't collapse, the enemy will never be able to break in. Yi Qinghan pointed at the blood prison and said solemnly. This formation has a built-in Big Dipper spirit gathering formation. It absorbs the spiritual energy of Xiaolong region and seizes the great fortune of the heavens. Perhaps it can develop into a big star above the 5th rank. The profoundness of the universe was endless. Owl Falling Star looked very small, but if the great fortune of the heavens gathered, this star would automatically grow bigger and bigger. In the end, it would form an enlarged version of Owl Falling Star. It was formed silently, and no one knew why such a thing happened. Stan Khan's mouth twitched. He knew that Yi Qinghan's big plan had not been revealed yet. Once it was revealed, it would definitely be earth-shattering. Aren't the 9 Revolution Heavenly Thunder Star Formation and the Big Dipper Spirit Gathering Formation the specialty of the 8 Trigram Spirit Emperor? It has been lost for tens of thousands of years. Do you know how to do it? Stan Khan questioned. The 9 Revolution Heavenly Thunder Star Formation is divided into 3 types: attack, defense, and trap. It doesn't need spiritual crystals to maintain it. It automatically gathers the essence of the heavenly thunder of the universe to strengthen the formation. It gathers the general trend of the world and stands tall in the vast sky. Back then, when the 8 Trigram Spirit Emperor was about to die, he knew that the forbidden area was dangerous, so he laid down a trap formation and forcibly trapped the ferocious spirits for 5,000 years. It dragged on until the human race produced another emperor to fight for a place for the human race to survive. The formation uses the Big Dipper, 8 trigrams, yin-yang, tai chi, luck, gathering, scattering, splitting, combining, great Tao, law, and profound. The formation is difficult to understand. Even with the original as a reference, it took me more than 100 years to comprehend it. I was preparing to lay out the formation for Owl War Star. Unfortunately, time waits for no man. Yi Qinghan was incomparably resentful. The crushing defeat back then was a heart demon that could not be erased forever. Brother Yi, the matter back then. Sigh, I can't do anything. After all, no one dares to contend with the 100 revered martial artists of the Owl Dragon region. Moreover, there are rank 6 forces from outside the region. My Stan Star can only protect itself. Stan Khan said helplessly. It's okay. The matter back then will eventually have its cause and effect. I will only protect the present. Help me lay out an 8 trigrams formation above Owl Falling Star and cover the entire star. The Eye of Yin-Yang is set in the blood prison to suppress the Kuei Cow. Setting the formation Eye in the blood prison naturally had Yi Qinghan's considerations. Not only could it suppress the Kuei Cow, but it could also prevent others from breaking the formation. No one dared to enter the blood prison as they would die. Anyone could betray him, but the Kuei Cow could not betray his murderous heart. The 2 experts personally laid out the 8 trigrams formation, which also contained the solitary sword Tao. When the formation was attacked, the solitary sword Tao would automatically counterattack. 10,000 swords would shoot out simultaneously and no one dared to resist. Yi Qinghan personally stepped into the blood prison and restrained his aura. Without alerting the Kuei Cow, he laid out the Eye of Yin-Yang and guarded it with the Tai Chi principle. The blood prison formed a huge yin-yang fish that was constantly rotating. The Eye of Yin-Yang coincidentally connected with the 8 trigrams, complementing each other and fusing into one. The principles of gathering, dispersing, separating, and combining were manifested. The Great Tao Law gathered. Although Yi Qinghan did not comprehend the Great Tao Law, the heaven and earth itself existed and could be used. The Eye of Yin-Yang was supported by the Water Origin Profound and the Dark Elemental Profound. 2 illusory heavenly dragons appeared above the blood prison, one black and one white. They intertwined with each other and formed a huge yin-yang Tai Chi formation. They coordinated with each other and were extremely stable. Yi Qinghan could control the yin-yang Tai Chi formation from a distance. He could automatically control the opening and closing of the formation. Inside the Big Dipper Spirit Gathering formation, the wind absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. At the end of the sky, 7-colored light flowed and lightning flashed. The spiritual energy of the entire Owl Falling Star instantly increased greatly. Yi Qinghan was busy. He personally took care of some of the details and important positions. After a month of continuous forging, he forged the Owl Falling Star into an iron bucket. As long as this formation maintained itself for a month, the 100 great martial venerables would definitely not be able to break in without 3 to 5 months of time. This formation was different from the one set up by the 8 trigram Spirit Emperor. Its realm was different, so its ability was naturally different. Khan Stan looked at the formation with envy. He asked expectantly, "Brother Yi, can you help me set up such a formation? When you counterattack, I can help you. You don't have to worry about your backyard getting burned, right? Wait until I enter the Tao Venerable Realm." Yi Qinghan was betrayed once, but he still took precautions. Although Khan's stand would be dissatisfied, it could reduce the danger by a lot. Good, good, good. Hee, as long as you are willing to help, there is no problem at any time. Khan Stan rubbed his hands and laughed foolishly like a big man. After a month of hard work, the three of them were mentally exhausted. They directly entered the inner sect to recover their spiritual energy. The spiritual energy in the inner sect of the insane sect had increased by more than 100 times. A day of cultivation here was equivalent to a year in the outside world. However, it was only limited to the inner sect. The outer sect did not have such an effect. Yi Mengxi and Ren Huangyi had been having a lot of fun these days. They often fought with Stan Wuxia, and their fights were bloody. Although they had the will to fight, there was no murderous intent. The speed at which the three of them improved surprised everyone. The greatest improvement of a cultivator was actual combat. Stan Wuxia had almost no actual combat experience. In the beginning, he was beaten badly by Yi Mengxi and Emperor Yi. However, his speed of improvement was also the fastest. The ignorant him gradually understood that friendship and familial feelings were growing. His original arrogant attitude also had some childlike innocence. The one who improved the fastest these days was Yi Qinghan. The two formations had almost interpreted all the esoteric laws and patterns of the Great Path. His understanding of the realm and secret techniques had reached the peak. He naturally crossed two small realms and entered the fourth step of the Grotto Heaven realm. His strength had increased tremendously. The blue dragon arm had become a real combat weapon, comparable to the current devil dragon saber. It was indestructible. One punch could destroy a Fate Palace realm. Any defense would be weak under his fist. Khan Stan knew that Yi Qinghan was molding the blue dragon arm, so he specially gave him a 6th grade vicious beast bone. Although it was not as good as the blue dragon bone, it won in terms of quantity. After Yi Qinghan received the bone, he chose to go into seclusion and began molding his left arm. During his seclusion, the Owl Fall star became very lively. The abundance of spiritual qi allowed many cultivators who were stuck at the bottleneck to break through. Even mortals could cultivate. Breaking into the sea of qi was not a rare thing. As long as they were not useless, they would automatically reach the sea of qi when they reached adulthood. As more and more geniuses were discovered, the Owl Fall region became more united. No one knew whether the person they offended would become a member of the insane sect in the next second. Therefore, all the forces became very harmonious. The officials and nobles were no longer cruel to the rich. They tried their best to help the poor people under their forces. At the foot of the inner sect mountain, Lin Wuqian raised his sword and was ready to use the union of heaven and man. He turned into a sword and used the 12 solitary sword Dao. His sword moves were as smooth as flowing water and as fast as lightning. In just a month, he had advanced from a mortal to the blood-burning realm. He would cross a small realm almost every day. Gu Qingyu passed on his own understanding to him. He was talented and intelligent. Coupled with his will to cultivate, the speed of his improvement made Yi Mengxi feel ashamed. The speed of improvement of the inner sect disciples was incomparable to that of the outsiders. They were blessed with unique resources. Even the top 10 young talents of the Stan Star wanted to join. Unfortunately, they were all rejected. One had to admit that the threshold of the insane sect was too high. Xiao Li and his father, Li Jiuchong, were almost obsessed with cultivation. Especially Li Jiuchong. Although he was a little old, his will to protect could be compared with Yi Qinghan. He looked a little clumsy, but in fact, he was very wise. He was deeply loved by the 3 great elders, who taught him everything they knew. Si Khan did his best to provide medicinal pills and secret technique insights. He was overjoyed to see Wuxia's rapid improvement. The strength of the insane sect increased greatly. Other than Tai Hua, everyone else had a certain level of combat power, especially Yimengshi, Wuxia, and Lin Wuqian. However, the three of them were very polite to Emperor Yi. On one hand, it was because she was the most powerful. On the other hand, she was the most terrifying. Once she fought with all her strength, she could almost block their combined attacks for a while. However, this kind of cultivation method consumed a lot of Emperor Ye's origin. Tai Hua was stupid, but after cultivating for more than a month, coupled with the rich spiritual energy, he still hadn't opened up his sea of qi. Even Gu Qingyu couldn't help but be amazed. However, he alone couldn't affect the rise of the entire insane sect, nor did he cause the inner sect members to ostracize him. On the contrary, they were surprisingly good to him. Especially Li Jiuchong, who doted on him like his own son. They loved and helped each other. Gu Qingyu couldn't help but sigh secretly, and his mentality changed. Chapter 160. It was another winter. Heavy snow fell from the sky, covering the silver ninth successive spiritual mountain with ice and snow. It was like a fairyland. Yi Qinghan had gone through 3 months of seclusion. When he came out from the back mountain of the inner sect, he became mysterious and his black hair danced in the wind. His 2 arms had become combat weapons, condensing a large amount of 6th-grade demon bone essence. They could break an ordinary 5th-grade combat weapon. Master is mighty. 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm, the azure dragon arm appears, and the world rises and falls, the parrot shouted flatteringly. 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm was still 1 step away from the Fate Palace realm. However, there was a demon in his heart that prevented him from going any further. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fists. He was satisfied to see more than 10 young inner sect children cultivating crazily and improving at a rapid pace. Wuxia was still as cold as ice to outsiders. He was as arrogant as the sun and did not allow others to approach him. He was as cold as ice that could freeze the heavens. However, he could not be cold to Emperor Yi and Yimengshi because he would be beaten up. Master, brother, the 3 little ones came forward, exuding a powerful and terrifying aura. Wuxia, in particular, had a high-level bloodline that could not be restrained. He stood out from the crowd. Emperor Yi and Wuxia were both 2nd step of the Grotto Heaven realm. Yimengshi had already reached the 3rd step, following closely behind Yi Qinghan. Her speed of improvement was unbelievable. Jian Qinxue was like an otherworldly fairy. Her white dress fluttered without any wind. Her face was full of smiles. Her cultivation had reached the 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm. Her combat strength was slightly weaker than Emperor Yi and the others, but she was much stronger than Lin Hong. You're all improving fast. Yi Qinghan nodded. His voice was hoarse and full of vicissitudes. Lin Wuqian came forward with his sword in his arms. He bowed and said, Uncle Master, Master said that he would need about 10 years to refine the sword seed in seclusion. Okay, I got it. Yi Qinghan nodded. The sword seed Saraira was not easy to refine. Once it was refined, its combat strength would be on a completely different level. Lin Wuqian had been in the inner sect for 3 months, and had become deep and steady. He could transform into a sword at any time, and his imposing manner was swift and fierce. He had the demeanor of a sword master, and his cultivation base was nearing the late bitter sea stage. Uncle Master, I want to go home and cross the sea of bitterness when I come back. I hope Uncle Master will agree, Lin Wuqian bowed again and requested. Now, his cultivation had skyrocketed. As a disciple of the crazy sect, his status alone was enough to suppress countless people. Lin Wuqian once said that he would return in glory. Now that he was qualified to do so, he didn't want to show off or anything. He just wanted to settle some of his worries so that he could go all out to cross the sea of bitterness. Yi Qinghan nodded and said, "You don't have much experience. Let your senior brother Lin Hong bring you around. It'll be a good experience for you." "I'm going too." Yi Mengshi was excited. She had been in the inner sect for a long time, and a lively person like her couldn't stand it. "I'm going too. I'm going to protect Sister Mengshi." Si Wuxia said proudly, like an adult. "Who needs your protection? Do you want to be beaten up? You can go, but you have to listen to me along the way." Yi Mengshi vowed. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. With such a group of little demons together, they could absolutely run amok on Owl Falling Star. As long as they didn't go to the blood prison, there would be no problem anywhere. "Son, follow them. Remember, you can't go to the blood prison, and you can't go to the Demon Valley continent." Yi Qinghan warned in a deep voice, "Emperor Yi is your senior sister. Whoever dares to disobey her will be expelled from the sect." Everyone kept quiet out of fear. They knew that Yi Qinghan was very serious. Whoever dares to disobey Emperor Ye's will definitely be unlucky. Traveling 10,000 miles is better than reading 10,000 books. If you want to cultivate the great Tao, you must first look at the various states of the common people. You are not allowed to fly during this training. Walk all the way to Qingzhou. If you encounter anything, you must think twice before you act. Yi Qinghan seemed to be making arrangements for his death. He turned around and looked at Li Jiuchong and the others. His fingertips trembled slightly as he pondered for a moment before continuing, "Jiuchong, you are the most mature and have the strongest will to protect. This time, you and Emperor Yi will lead the team. If you have any problems, discuss them with her." "Yes. Master, this disciple will definitely not disappoint you." Li Jiuchong bowed and said. "Master, senior brothers and sisters, can I go too?" Tai Hua's face was full of anticipation like a lump of iron. Everyone was changing, except for him. He had been in the inner sect for 4 months, but he still hadn't opened up his sea of bitterness. Yi Qinghan looked at Tai Hua and was speechless. Such a weirdo was hard to come by. Even if a person with no cultivation talent was thrown into a place like the inner sect that was full of spiritual energy, he should be able to open up his sea of qi on his own. Tai Hua actually couldn't open it, and there were so many people teaching him. How stupid was he? Go. Maybe it's a problem of vision. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and said. The parrot's eyes flashed as it stared at Yi Qinghan. It thought to itself, this guy is definitely going to go far away, and it's very dangerous. I can't follow him, master. Are you sure you want to go out with so many children? Why don't I go with them? Don't worry, with me around, they are absolutely safe. Even if a Tao master invades, I can send him to the blood prison. The parrot vowed. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes and said disdainfully, if you go with them, I'm worried that you'll send them to the blood prison. The parrot was speechless. Yi Qinghan sent a group of inner sect disciples out of the eccentric sect. He couldn't help but frown when he saw Dongfang Haoyue and Situ Wanli, who were rushing over from afar, covered in blood and missing limbs. They were extremely miserable and were almost all skin and bones. Mr. Yi, we found the materials for the face restoration pill you needed. But we encountered a terrifying creature and escaped with great difficulty. We don't have much life left. Please save us. The two of them knelt on the ground. Their clothes were ragged, and they looked battered and exhausted. They respectfully offered up a cosmos ring, then looked at Yi Qinghan expectantly. They also looked at the parrot with gratitude. The parrot cursed, fuck, you can come back alive like this. You're not destined to die. Yi Qinghan looked at the two idiots who were actually grateful to the parrot. He reached out and took the universe ring and said indifferently, you've worked hard. I'm going out for a while. You can cultivate at the foot of the inner sect mountain. You're not allowed to enter the inner sect. We'll talk about it when I come back. Thank you for your guidance, Mr. We'll definitely sacrifice our lives and never betray you. The two knelt, their bodies still spurting blood. Yi Qinghan shook his head and summoned the small cloud-piercing ship that Khan Stan had specially left for him. He walked in with the parrot and drove the cloud-piercing ship into the sky. His destination was Owl War Planet. Back then, the Great Astral Formation was not activated for no reason. The main formation must have been destroyed. He had to find out who betrayed him. Otherwise, it would be like a bottleneck that would prevent him from entering the Fate Palace realm. The universe was vast, majestic, and imposing. Even the Xiaolong region was boundless. Countless stars stood in great numbers. Stars were constantly aging, turning into shooting stars and smashing into the end of the universe. They turned into a wisp of dust and disappeared without a trace. Yi Qinghan set the coordinates and let it fly freely. His eyes overlooked the star region and his heart followed the universe as it flew back to the Owl-Dragon region. Master, where are we going? Is it dangerous? The parrot trembled. It felt that this trip was very dangerous. Owl War Star, the place where I fell back then. Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a cruel smile as a bright light exploded from his eyes. Owl War Planet was at the edge of the center of the Owl-Dragon region. It was now broken into several pieces, but there was still a gravitational pull between them. They did not turn into meteors and scatter. Every piece of broken Owl War Planet was stained with blood and turned into a red hell. Shrubs grew and flew into the sky. It had been 8 years. This place had become a land of death. Even adventurers were not willing to go near it. Countless creatures died tragically. Eerie skeletons piled up like a mountain. The flesh had long melted and the smell had dispersed. Owl War Planet was now eerie and terrifying. Occasionally, a gust of wind would blow, making people's hair stand on end. There were even evil spirits roaming at night. They were unwilling to die tragically and devoured each other, forming powerful evil spirits. In the ruins of the Yi family, the palace collapsed. More than half of it was burned by fire. Only half of a stone tablet stood proudly. The stone tablet of the Yi family was cut in half. The other half leaned against the stone tablet. It was stained with blood and was covered by shrubs. The sorrow and loneliness of Owl War Planet was fully displayed. It was heartbreaking. Woo-woo, as the cold wind blew, specks of green light flickered in the gloomy night sky. The ghost fire on the ground flowed everywhere. The baleful aura was so dense that it was tangible. Cultivators with weaker willpower would be scared to death here. Yi Qinghan spent 3 months flying from Owl Fall Planet to the periphery of Owl War Planet. He looked at Owl War Planet from the starry river. His eyes almost spat out flames. His hatred overflowed to the sky. His clothes fluttered in the wind and his killing intent spread everywhere. The parrot was so scared that it hid at the side, not moving at all. What a terrifying place. How many people died here? 10 billion? 20 billion? The parrot said to itself in shock. It peeked out of the corner of its eye and trembled all over. It then turned its head to look elsewhere. Yi Qinghan steered the cloud-piercing ship and slowly approached a slightly bigger piece of broken Owl War Planet. The baleful aura rushed over, almost enough to shatter the cloud-piercing ship. Master. The parrot's hair stood on end. It was incomparably terrified. Yi Qinghan opened the cabin door. The astral wind outside could almost tear apart a 4th-grade spirit weapon. His clothes fluttered in the wind, and his 5th-grade armor fluttered. His vigorous and cold eyes were filled with supreme willpower. With a casual wave of his hand, he imprisoned the parrot on his shoulder and put away the cloud-piercing ship. The god-slaying eagle was awakened and rushed out of Yi Qinghan's body. It looked at the broken Owl War Planet with a terrified expression. It couldn't even fly and quickly returned to Yi Qinghan's body. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Yi Qinghan faced the wind and the ground trembled slightly. The environment here was extremely harsh. The shrubs that could survive here were extremely hard and hard to be damaged by blades. Gotcha, the eerie white bones had long been eroded by the wind. They were crushed with a light touch and scattered with the wind. The terrifying whistling sound made the parrot bury its head in its chest, not daring to look. Yi Qinghan restrained his rapid breathing. His eyes were like torches as he gripped the demon dragon saber tightly. The baleful aura that filled the sky was crazily absorbed by the demon dragon saber. The baleful aura of the demon dragon saber was almost enough to crush a Dao sovereign expert. The baleful aura became the demon dragon saber's tonic. A huge tornado formed in the sky. The baleful aura was sinister, causing the demon dragon saber to become incomparably evil. It emitted a green saber ray. Chapter 161. Intense evil spirit and murderous intent intertwined. Owl Warstar was like hell. Even the shrubs were lifeless, just like iron trees. The fierce wind tore at the parrot's skin. Its white feathers were torn off and blown into the air. In the blink of an eye, they were crushed into powder. Oh my God! What is this place? It's even scarier than a dead star, the parrot screamed. It was scared out of its wits. Shut up! Yi Qinghan's aura was extremely cold. He merged with the broken owl Warstar. He walked quickly to the Yi family ruins. The evil spirit in the Yi family ruins was even more intense. It was more than 10 times stronger than the outside world. If one's will was slightly weaker, they would be driven crazy. Countless heroes had died tragically here. There were more than 100 beginner-level Dao Masters, more than a dozen middle-level Dao Masters, 7 peak-level Dao Masters, and countless Fate Palace Masters. Their corpses were piled up like mountains and their resentment was disgusting. It was difficult for one's divine sense to penetrate more than 10 meters. The dark night sky blocked one's vision. Yi Qinghan walked slowly to the stone tablet. He reached out to touch the tablet that he had erected himself. His eyes were bloodshot. He allowed the evil spirit and resentment to enter his body. The murderous intent broke through the surface of his body and intertwined with his genuine vitality. The evil spirit was too strong. Yi Qinghan could not move. He could no longer withstand the strong wind inside him. He could only sit cross-legged under the tablet to refine his body. An intense astral wind howled as it rushed out of Yi Qinghan's sleeves and into his entire body. Other than his arms, every other part of his body was scarlet red, as if they had been scraped by blades. The parrot hid inside Yi Qinghan's body, not daring to come out. Yi Qinghan entered a frenzied state of refining his body. A wisp of ghostly fire floated behind him. The majestic Yang Qi kept the evil spirits 10 meters away. In the depths of the Yi clan, there was a gigantic pit filled with blood. It was gloomy and gloomy. The evil Qi was extremely dense. Even if a great honored martial artist entered that place, he would be corroded by the evil Qi and be lost in the sea of bitterness. However, there was a young man floating above the pit. He had a cold blade on his back and was absorbing the evil Qi. The young man looked to be in his 20s, but his cultivation was terrifying. He was definitely not inferior to a great martial saint. His battle prowess was extraordinary, and he was like a peerless weapon. He sat cross-legged on the blood water and crazily absorbed the evil blood energy. The surroundings were icy cold, but he was like a cold-blooded creature, and was not affected at all. He was dressed in black, and on his shoulder was embroidered the word kill, which made people feel as if their souls were about to explode. His name was Feng Sha, and he came from an ancient organization. Those who could enter this organization were all at least at the level of a supreme battle king from a certain star field. Furthermore, they had to go through a strict examination before they could join. The saber on his back was a famous ancient soul-devouring saber. It could pierce through a person's body with a single slash, and it could directly devour the person's soul. It was said that this saber had once swallowed a peerless divine martial expert. The more souls the soul-devouring saber devoured, the stronger the soul, and the saber would evolve accordingly. It was one of the few weapons that could evolve. It was unknown how long Feng Sha had been cultivating in the Yi clan's ruins. He borrowed the evil energy to cultivate his murderous aura, and the word "kill" on his shoulder became even more sinister. His entire body became lifeless, and he was like a peerless weapon. It was fine if he was motionless, but when he moved, he could destroy mountains and rivers, and crush his opponent's Tao heart. Owl War Star's ravine was deep, and it extended for 10,000 li. A chilly wind swept through, and a terrifying sound was produced. It was as if there was a terrifying vicious beast under the ground that wanted to rush out. Time passed little by little. Yi Qinghan gradually adapted to Owl War Star's evil energy. His entire body circulated with precious light, and his divinity shot out in all directions. Yang energy burst forth to resist the evil energy and murderous aura. Master, I really can't take it anymore. Let's quickly leave this place. The parrot was forced out of his body, and it was trembling in fear. Come with me to find something. Yi Qinghan stood up without hesitation, and was about to enter the depths of the Yi clan. At this moment, Feng Sha walked out from the depths of the Yi clan. The evil energy blocked the two's divine senses, and they were completely unaware of each other's existence. The path took a turn, and the two's eyes met outside the Yi clan's gate. Sparks flew, and evil energy filled the air. The demon dragon blade and the soul devourer blade shook at the same time, and when they came in contact with the chilly wind, a sinister sound was produced. Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end, and the azure dragon arm wrapped around the demon dragon blade. He took a deep breath and stared at Feng Sha. Feng Sha obviously didn't expect there to be a second person in Owl War Star, and his cultivation level was actually at the 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm. Interesting, the evil energy here is enough to kill an early-stage Tao sovereign. You, a rookie at the 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm, actually dared to come in. Feng Sha looked at Yi Qinghan curiously, and there was no trace of emotion in his eyes. Yi Qinghan squinted his eyes and looked at the word "kill" on Feng Sha's shoulder. He felt that the word was like a divine weapon, and it seemed like it wanted to rush out and kill. This was the first time he saw such clothing, and he was sure that the person in front of him was definitely not from Xiaolong region, nor was he from any of the major forces in Xiaolong region. What are you doing in Owl War Star? Yi Qinghan asked cautiously. Absorbing the evil energy. What are you doing here? Feng Sha asked coldly. I'm looking for something. You're not from Xiaolong region, and you actually know that there's a destroyed star here. It seems like you've investigated it thoroughly. Yi Qinghan held the demon dragon blade tightly, and his entire body tensed up. Feng Sha's lips curled up, and he looked down at Yi Qinghan, and said disdainfully, could it be that you suspect that I killed all the living beings here? Even if I did, do you still want to kill me? Yi Qinghan looked at him coldly, and his fingertips trembled slightly. He wanted to leave this place. This young man was too terrifying, and confronting him was definitely not a smart move. You're the remnant of this star. I'm also very interested in this star. Before this, I took a look at this star and found that the 8 trigrams part of the star array of this star was forcefully destroyed, causing the entire star array of this star to lose its function. It can't be activated normally. Feng Sha said indifferently. The star array of Owl War Star was made up of a total of 4 arrays, 8 trigrams, Tai Chi, Yin Yang, and Heaven Dipper. They all protected each other, and none of them could be missing. In order to focus on cultivation, Yi Qinghan gave the 4 arrays to his wife, father, and disciple, Nangong Powu. He controlled the eye of the Tai Chi array, and the 8 trigrams array was given to Nangong Powu. Nangong Powu. Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. Nangong Powu was an orphan that he personally picked out from a pile of bones. He raised Nangong Po himself, and he treated him like his own son. Furthermore, Nangong Po was extremely talented, and he had always treated Yi Qinghan as his father. He was deeply loved by Yi Qinghan. But I don't think there's a problem with the person guarding the 8 trigrams array. If he wanted to betray this star, he didn't have to forcefully destroy the 8 trigrams array. He just had to stop the array. Feng Sha said indifferently. Yi Qinghan's breathing stopped. That's right. If there was a problem with Nangong Po, why didn't he stop the 8 trigrams array? Why did he have to forcefully destroy it? Unless he didn't understand the 8 trigrams array. But how could Nangong Po, who was guarding the 8 trigrams array, not understand the 8 trigrams array? I'll bring you to take a look at the 8 trigrams array. Feng Sha slowly turned around and walked directly into the depths of the Yi residence. Yi Qinghan gripped his demon knife tightly and followed him in without hesitation. The Yi residence was in ruins. The 8 trigrams courtyard was Nangong Po's other residence. The foundation of the 8 trigrams array had been uprooted, and all traces of it had been destroyed. With just this evidence, it was impossible to find out who betrayed him. Yi Qinghan looked at the broken 8 trigrams courtyard and took a deep breath. His 5 fingers pierced into his flesh, and blood spurted out. Feng Sha looked at Yi Qinghan curiously and sneered. Yi Qinghan quickly rushed out of the courtyard and came to a flattened courtyard. This was the place where the yin-yang array was guarding. It was Jian Shui's residence. The yin-yang array had been wiped out, but the eye of the array was still there. This meant that the yin-yang array had not been destroyed. Feng Sha looked at Yi Qinghan's bleak back, and a trace of confusion flashed in his eyes. He whispered, "Your will is not bad. You can actually resist the terrifying baleful aura. When you reach the Dao sovereign realm, perhaps you can join my organization. I hope you find your enemy soon. See you in 10 years. After Feng Sha finished speaking, he used stellar transposition and directly left Owl War Star. Yi Qinghan looked at Feng Sha leaving and did not think too much about it. The parrot, on the other hand, was excited. It whispered, "I seem to remember that there was such a force with the word kill embroidered on its shoulder. But it wasn't very clear. Let's ignore him for now. I need to find out who destroyed the foundation of the 8 trigrams array," Yi Qinghan said. "That's easy. We'll know once we find Nangong Po. If it wasn't Nangong Po, then it must have been someone else. Who could destroy the foundation right under his nose? Luring the tiger away from the mountain? It must be someone he trusts a lot. But it could also be Nangong Po who did it on purpose to divert attention. As long as we find him, all problems will be solved," the parrot said seriously. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. "That was a good idea. But I think it's better to leave for now. This place is too obvious. Once a spy finds out that someone came here, it will definitely attract the attention of your enemy. At that time, you won't be able to leave even if you want to," the parrot advised. It did not want to stay here any longer. This place was too terrifying. As time passed, the vengeful spirits would become stronger and stronger. Yi Qinghan nodded. He knew that he could not stay here for too long. After midnight, the baleful aura would multiply, and it might affect his Dao heart. He soared into the sky and summoned the cloud-piercing ship in midair. Then, he drove the cloud-piercing ship into the galaxy. The planet closest to Owl War Planet was Owl Dragon Planet, the territory of the Lu family. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He drove the cloud-piercing ship and flew in. The Lu family was not the only power on Owl Dragon Planet. The Lu family was not as strong as the other families. They shared Owl Dragon Planet with many other forces. Almost all the rank 5 forces in Owl Dragon region had their own forces on Owl Dragon Planet. This place was very complicated. After Yi Qinghan entered Owl Dragon region, he kept the cloud-piercing ship and strode toward a big city. Tianshui City was one of the bigger cities on Owl Dragon Planet. It stretched for millions of miles, which was equivalent to half of Owl Falling Star. Wow, this planet is not bad. Let's occupy it. The parrot's eyes flashed as it said excitedly. Humph, this planet has gathered thousands of rank 5 forces. If you want to die, you can come and occupy it, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Thousands of rank 5 forces. Forget it. When we can defeat so many forces, we will look down on this broken planet long ago, the parrot said without hesitation. Yi Qinghan restrained his aura and entered Tianshui City. The city was full of spiritual energy. It was more than one level stronger than Owl Falling Star. The cultivation of the experts in the city was also much stronger than Owl Falling Star. It was not something that the Big Dipper spirit gathering formation could reverse in a short period of time. Chapter 162. In Tianshui City, the sky and water merged into one. It was a magnificent sight with an ancient aura. The parrot's eyes gleamed as it discovered many treasures, but they all had owners. Yi Qinghan restrained his tyrannical aura and looked like an elegant young master with a parrot by his side. His face was unrestrained and unrestrained. Hey girl, look over here. There's a handsome guy over here. He's 20 years old. He's handsome and elegant. He's from a wealthy family. He's not married yet. Let's walk around and take a look. If you don't like him, it's free. You won't be taken advantage of or be tricked by him. If you like him, you can even sit down for a meal and chat. The parrot stood on Yi Qinghan's shoulder like an awe-inspiring general. Wherever it went, it would say these words, attracting the disdain of countless people. You can either shut up or say something else. I'm here to pretend to be a hedonistic son of a rich family, not to look for a groom. Yi Qinghan frowned. He didn't know where the parrot had learned these words from. My family's young master is a hedonistic young master. He doesn't pay for his meals, and he doesn't take responsibility for picking up girls. Get lost. Mockery came from both sides of the street. People loved the parrot, but they despised Yi Qinghan to the extreme. Hey, is this parrot for sale? I'll pay 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. A young man in embroidered clothes had an arrogant attitude. This was a true hedonistic young master. Get lost. You want to buy me for 1,000 low-grade spirit crystals? This divine bird is priceless. I'll consider it for 10,000 high-grade spirit stones, the parrot said disdainfully. The young man's face darkened. 1,000 low-grade spirit crystals to buy a pet parrot was already very rich and generous. But he was actually called a poor young master by a human, no, a bird. This was intolerable. Ha ha ha, this bird is really cute. Everyone laughed and liked the parrot even more. The parrot arrogantly raised its head and sneered at the crowd. What do you think? I gave you face. The parrot said smugly. Ha ha ha. Yi Qinghan sneered and clenched his fists. He was on the verge of exploding because of the parrot. Yi Qinghan quickly left the street. He could not afford to lose face like this. There was a sea of people in the city. Every road led to the center of the city. Yi Qinghan relaxed his state of mind and began to comprehend the various facets of life. With the parrot around, it was like a ray of light wherever it went, attracting people's attention. In addition, Yi Qinghan's skin and flesh were really too good-looking. If it weren't for the profligate look in his eyes, he would have attracted many women. Yi Qinghan imitated his younger brother, Yi Kuan, to the point where no real expert would pay attention to him. The spies were also too lazy to pay attention to a spoiled brat. Hey beauty, can we be friends? Go away. Rogue. I'm giving you face by being friends with you. Do you know who I am? I am the 7th young master of the ancient Shi family, Shi Gu. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and looked at the other side of the street. He saw an even more spoiled brat. He was about 20 years old and had an arrogant look on his face. He had the charm of an ancient family and had reached the peak of the Fate Palace realm. He was only half a step away from becoming a Tao master. Damn, what a spoiled brat. The parrot said disdainfully as it saw Go flirting with a little beauty. It was filled with a sense of justice. The girls seemed to know that the Shi family was a super family and did not dare to offend them. The man beside her also hid far away. She had no choice but to turn around and leave. Pa, Go walked in with a dissolute look. Then, he looked intoxicated. He played the spoiled brat to the extreme and reached a new height. The girl was trembling with anger. She looked at the man beside her and did not dare to speak. She suddenly burst into tears. The young man beside the girl blushed. He wanted to be angry but did not dare to. He was a complete loser. Seeing Go like this, he did not dare to refute or stop him. The girl was extremely disappointed. Fuck. How can such a man take a girl? Is this girl blind? The parrot was flustered and exasperated. It wanted nothing more than to go up and give him 2 big slaps. The surrounding people were angry, but did not dare to speak. Even more people despised the man beside the girl. Such a man was simply a coward. TSK, it's a pity that she has poor taste. If she wants to find a man, she should find a hot-blooded man like me. Otherwise, why would she want a man who doesn't even dare to fart when his woman is being bullied? Go said narcissistically. Shameless. You're even more shameless than me. The parrot admitted defeat. You've gone too far. Taking liberties with an innocent woman on the street. Where is the dignity of ancient times? The young man was incomparably angry. He was submissive and his voice was like a woman's. What are you talking about? When did I take liberties with an innocent woman? You'd better give me an explanation. Show me the evidence. Otherwise, I'll blaspheme the dignity of the Shi family. It's not something you can resist. Shi Ji's face darkened as he said in all seriousness. Oh my God, this. Do I need evidence? Such a lowly person. I loathe him. The parrot was going crazy. It wanted to rush over and see who was more lowly. Don't cause trouble, Yi Qinghan warned coldly. This isn't Owlfall Planet. If you offend a powerful expert, you won't be able to escape. The parrot's imposing manner suddenly dropped. It was its style to bully the weak and fear the strong. It would rather be beaten to death than face a powerful expert alone. Its sense of justice was to beat a drowning dog. The young man was suppressed by Shi Ji's imposing manner. He lowered his head and fled. The girl's pitiful appearance made Go lose interest. He turned around and left. He glanced at Yi Qinghan and the parrot on his shoulder, and his eyes lit up. What a handsome parrot! Go said excitedly. It's very spirited. I can tell at a glance that it's a priceless bird. The parrot's eyes lit up as soon as it heard this. Its loathing for Go disappeared. They looked at each other, and a feeling of appreciation appeared in their hearts. Handsome, you have good taste. I'm the future emperor of all beasts. I'm not just priceless, I'm priceless. The parrot arrogantly looked at Go with eyes full of admiration. Wow! I'm drunk. Shi Ji's face lit up. It was the first time that he had seen a pet praise him like this. They were birds of a feather. Yi Qinghan, I'm called the devouring spirit hawk. You can call me divine bird. Little Shi too, you won't dislike me if I call you that, right? The parrot said in a loud voice. Yi Qinghan felt like throwing the parrot to Go, and then turning around and walking away. Brother, let's find a place to have a drink. I'll treat you. Go was speechless. However, he had taken a fancy to the parrot. He felt that this bird could enhance his pretentious image. He would be able to attract the attention of girls wherever he went. Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched. He felt that it would be good to follow this debauchee. At least he could attract a lot of attention. He could also take advantage of this opportunity to inquire about Nangong Wu or some interesting information. Okay, then I'll have to trouble Brother Shi. Yi Qinghan smiled. Don't mention it. I like to make friends. I'm a charitable person. Let's go. We hit it off right away. I'll take you to the most luxurious hotel in Tianshui City for a drink. We won't go home until we're drunk. Yi Qinghan looked at Shi Gu. Although he was a debauchee, his eyes were clear and pure. It could be seen that his heart was not as bad as others thought. At least, he had his own bottom line. He would not fight with evil people. Perhaps he would even seek revenge. Yi Qinghan was very willing to make friends with such a person, so he nodded. Tianshui City, Heavenly Pavilion of National Beauty. There were countless beautiful cultivators and women, attracting countless debauches and debauches. Yi Qinghan and Shi Gu brought along the parrot. They were full of debauches. Their heroic spirit soared to the sky. Bounties were flying everywhere. They gave out mid-grade spirit crystals. They could not even take out low-grade spirit crystals. Immediately, they attracted the attention of countless female cultivators. Yo, this little brother looks unfamiliar. Since you can come with Uncle Shi, you must be a young master from some rich family. A young woman with revealing clothes and a charming voice said. Her voice was so charming that it could make people's bones go soft. Yi Qinghan sized up the woman in front of him. Her eyes were deep and vast. He could not tell how deep they were. She was definitely a difficult person to deal with. He secretly had a contest in his heart. This is my brother. He's called. Oh right, brother, what's your name? Shi Gu smiled. He just realized that he did not know Yi Qinghan's name. His face immediately turned red. Yi Qingquang. Yi Qinghan said concisely. After all, it was too dangerous to say his name. Who in Xiaolong City did not know Yi Qinghan? Even if he had died 8 years ago, it would still attract people's attention. Qingquang. Ha ha, what a good name. You're indeed my brother. Shi Gu laughed and said to the young woman, Huan Yang, call Sister Hua, Sister Kuei, and Sister Hua from your National Beauty Pavilion to accompany my brother. Call my favorite little fox fairy from the Fox clan to the private room as well. Bring a table of good wine and dishes. I'm not short of money today. Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a smile. Hua Kuei of the National Beauty Heavenly Pavilion should know a lot of information. Perhaps she could find out about Nangong Wu. At the very least, she should be able to find traces of Yi Kun. There was a private room on the 3rd floor. It was luxuriously decorated. The nude pictures were charming and mesmerizing. This private room cost 500 mid-grade yuan for 2 hours. Any woman would have to spend several thousand mid-grade yuan. If one was not a rich man, he would not be able to play here. Soon, the young woman brought in a pair of twins. They were otherworldly. Their beauty was not inferior to Jian Qinshue's, and their figure was not inferior to Huang Xiaomeng's. In this brothel, they still had a sense of purity. No wonder they were called Huan Yang. In addition, they were a pair of beautiful sisters. To men, they were a fatal temptation. The beautiful sisters were dressed in white and were very beautiful. Master Shi, little fox fairy heard that you're here. She's happily putting on makeup and will be here soon. Huan Yang was excited. As long as she served these 2 masters well today, it would not be a problem for her to make a lot of money. Shi Gu looked at Huan Yang with an intoxicated expression. He looked like a rich man. Yi Kun was half a level lower than him. After a while, the door of the private room was opened. An extremely seductive woman appeared. Her eyebrows were naturally shaped like a fairy. Her every move could hook a man's heart. No wonder Shi Gu was so mesmerized by her. Master Shi, you're finally. Aya. The young woman from the Fox clan had just pushed the door open when she was forcefully taken away by a large hand. Shi Gu was furious. With a wave of his hand, a large brick appeared in his hand. He rushed out of the private room and roared, "Witch bastard! Do you have a death wish?" Chapter 163. A big hand of nothingness took the little fox immortal away. Shi Gu was furious. He had always been the one who took liberties with others. Today, the person he had chosen was taken away in the room. This was not just a slap in the face. "Get out here." Shi Ji's face was livid. He held the golden brick in his hand. It was filled with the pattern of the Great Path and was majestic. It was definitely a treasure above the 5th grade. Yi Qinghan squinted at the brick in Shi Ji's hand. A message flashed in his eyes. In history, there was a powerful expert who used a brick as a weapon. This kind of strange weapon was rare in the world. The brick in Shi Ji's hand should have been made by that powerful expert. The parrot's eyes flashed. It wanted to snatch the brick, but the pressure on the brick was so strong that it did not dare to move. Shi Gu stood on the 3rd floor with a cold and arrogant face. He looked down at the heavenly pavilion of national beauty. Countless beauties looked up and whispered, "Who provoked this master? Isn't he asking for trouble?" Hundreds of Fate Palace and even Tao Master experts in the hall looked at each other. They stopped what they were doing and stepped aside, waiting for the show to begin. Huan Yang hurried out and grabbed Shi Gu. She said flatteringly, "Master Shi, you can talk slowly. Today's matter is not your fault. I promise to give you a satisfactory answer." The heavenly pavilion of national beauty was full of beauties. If there were no experts, how could it stand in Tianshui City for thousands of years? In the heavenly pavilion of national beauty, everyone had to give Huan Yang face. After all, she had a wide range of friends. Who was the one who took little Fox Fairy away? Please send her back. Our heavenly pavilion of national beauty emphasizes on first come, first served. No one can fight for her. If you still recognize me, please give me face. Otherwise, don't blame me for turning hostile. Huan Yang's manner changed. She was no longer seductive but dignified. I took her away. Huan Yang, what did I say 3 days ago? I wanted to book little Fox Fairy for 10 days. You let her out today. Are you looking down on me or the Feng family for not having the money to pay? A cold voice came from the opposite room. It was disdainful of Shi Gu. It's the 6th young master of the Feng family, Feng Wuxia. The top 10 of the younger generation in Xiaolong region. I remember it's ranked 9th, right? This is going to be a good show. The Shi clan's 7th young master versus the Feng clan's 6th young master. These two cousins have been fighting since they were young, and neither side is willing to give way to the other. I wonder who will win this time. While everyone was talking about it, Huan Yang's face changed. 6th Master Feng, this is Huan Yang's lack of consideration. You said 3 days ago that you wanted to pay the deposit, but you didn't show up for 2 days. I thought you didn't want it, so I let little Fox Immortal come out to receive Master Shi. Huan Yang said with a wry smile. That is to say, he hasn't paid yet. If I pay the spiritual crystals before him, then I'll go first. Huan Yang, I want the little Fox Fairy today. Help me deal with it. If you can't, don't blame me for not giving you face. Shi Gu sneered. They were the strongest youths in Tianshui City. Normally, they would fight openly and secretly. They all wanted to slap each other in the face, but their fighting strength was equal. This was a good opportunity. If they didn't slap each other in the face a few times, they wouldn't be able to sleep well at night. Huan Yang, I said that I will pay the deposit within 3 days. Isn't today the 3rd day? So little Fox Fairy must stay in my room today. You can deal with the rest. If anyone dares to snatch her away, don't blame me for being impolite. Someone opened the door of the opposite private room and walked out. A young man with an elegant demeanor walked out. His purple robe fluttered without wind, like an immortal. Although his name was Feng Wuxia, there was a trace of wanton and unruly evil aura hanging from the corner of his mouth. Yi Qinghan ignored the sisters and came to the door with the parrot. He leaned against the door frame with his hands crossed in front of his chest. His face was full of wanton and unruly, like a complete dandy. The parrot surprisingly chose to shut up and squatted on Yi Qinghan's shoulder to watch the show. A black line appeared on Huan Yang's forehead. She was a little mad. Today's matter was not the fault of the 2 young masters. If she had to say something wrong, it was her fault for forgetting that Feng Wuxia had booked little Fox Fairy. Master Shi, give Huan Yang face and let me treat you today. How about it? Huan Yang smiled bitterly and said with a somewhat pleading tone. I don't lack money, what I lack is a breath. It's not that I don't want to give you face, but I don't want to let that bitch have her way. Shi glared at the indifferent Feng Wuxia. He wanted nothing more than to throw a few bricks at Feng Wuxia and turn his handsome face into a pig's head. Master Qi, if you don't fight today, Huan Yang will waive your bill for 10 days. How about it? Huan Yang's tone was a little harsh as she stared at Shi. Unfortunately, Shi was stubborn. If he didn't slap Feng Wuxia a few times today, he would have nightmares at night. Huan Yang, you go and ask Feng Wuxia to give up little Fox Fairy and waive his bill for 10 days. He is short of money, maybe he will agree. Shi sneered. I'm so poor that I only have spiritual crystals left. Even if you kneel down and beg me today, little Fox Fairy will not go to your side. At worst, I'll buy her and take her away. Don't even think about touching her hair in the future. Feng Wuxia seemed to be deliberately provoking Shi and mocked him disdainfully. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and didn't want to get involved. The purpose of his visit today was to investigate the whereabouts of Yi Kuan, Nangong Powu. He didn't want to get involved in the fight between the disciples of the big families. Feng Wuxia glanced at Yi Qinghan and his eyes flashed. Looking at Yi Qinghan's expression, he knew that Yi Qinghan was not familiar with Shi. Moreover, the light in Yi Qinghan's eyes did not dissipate and his body was emitting a terrifying evil qi. Even if it was restrained to the extreme, Feng Wuxia could still sense the danger. He's an expert. Although he's only at the 4th step of the Grotto Heaven realm, he's definitely not weaker than someone at the Fate Palace realm. Feng Wuxia thought for a moment and said to Yi Qinghan, fellow cultivator, if you don't mind, please come over to the opposite side. There are a few geniuses of Shaolong region here. Let's have a chat. Shi Ji's expression changed drastically. If Yi Qinghan really went over, he would be completely humiliated today. Thinking of this, he immediately stared at Yi Qinghan. It's boring to eat with a playboy. Wuxia can see that you're an expert. You're eating with him because you want to gather information. I have a lot of information here. As long as you want to know, there's nothing that I can't find out. Feng Wuxia said proudly. He was going all out to humiliate Shi. Fuck. In terms of information sources, I'm not worse than you. Brother Yi, let's go in. I don't want to compete with this bastard. He's embarrassing me. After Shi finished speaking, he reached out to pull Yi Qinghan back, afraid that Yi Qinghan would go over. As the saying goes, don't slap a smiling face. Since Feng Wuxia took the initiative to show goodwill, Shi couldn't offend him. Maybe Feng Wuxia could really provide some useful information if he couldn't find any information today. Thank you for your invitation, fellow cultivator Feng. Today, Brother Shi is treating. If I refuse now, I'll be too ungrateful. Another day, I'll treat you. The location is still here. I hope Brother Feng will give me some face. Yi Qinghan said with a fist salute. Ha ha ha, you flatter me, flatter me. I, Feng Wuxia, only make true friends. This foppish man only makes fair-weather friends. Brother, you must be careful. Don't be careless. Feng Wuxia laughed. He did not forget to hit Shirgu on the head. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. Shirgu looked like a playboy, but he was actually very loyal. On the other hand, Feng Wuxia looked calm and unrestrained, but he was actually very smart. He was definitely not someone to be trifled with. The two smiled and nodded, then returned to their respective rooms. Brother Shi, this Feng Wuxia is very strong and smart. I advise you not to compete with him for face. Yi Qinghan lightly reminded. Don't worry, I've been dealing with him since childhood. I've already known his temper. I can't beat him, but he can't beat me either. Shirgu snorted and said to Huan Yang, you said it's free of charge for 10 days. I won't be polite. Find me a new girl. Her cultivation must be above heavenly insight realm. Consider it my compensation. The corner of Huan Yang's mouth twitched, and she couldn't help but smile bitterly. Shirgu really didn't want to be polite. The price for 10 days was at least 300,000 to 400,000 medium-grade spirit stones. Plus, he wanted a new female cultivator above heavenly insight realm. This price would be 30,000 to 50,000 medium-grade spirit stones. Oh, okay, Huan Yang will vomit blood this time. As long as you're happy. Huan Yang felt her heart ache and turned around to leave the private room. Brother Yi, thank you for your help. If you really followed me, I wouldn't be able to raise my head in Tianshui City anymore. Shirgu cupped his fists and said. You're too polite. I'm not a person who bites the hand that feeds me. Yi Qinghan lightly said. Huan Yang soon brought a peerless female cultivator. She was at the first step of Fate Palace realm. Her face was blushing. It seemed like it was her first time here. Shi Ji's mood suddenly became good. Such a female cultivator cost at least 30,000 to 50,000 spirit stones a night. Moreover, there was a price but no supply. Many women wanted to cultivate, but because of the lack of spirit stones, they could only do things that they had no choice but to do. Yi Qinghan didn't look down on her, and Shirgu didn't despise her either. Then, a large table of delicious dishes was served. Most of them were special dishes. Each dish cost more than 10 medium-grade spirit stones. If one's family didn't have a good foundation, one meal would be enough to bankrupt them. Yi Qinghan smiled. Tonight, he still needed to rely on these two sisters to provide him with information. Therefore, he had to maintain a good relationship with them. Occasionally, he would take the initiative to tease them and pretend to be a good-for-nothing disciple. He talked with Shirgu while eating. He got some information about what happened 8 years ago, but it wasn't important. He didn't get any information about Yikuan or Nangong Powu. Yi Qinghan didn't dare to ask directly for fear of arousing their suspicions. After the meal, Shirgu brought the female cultivator to the guest room. The two sisters looked at Yi Qinghan expectantly. They hoped that someone would book the whole place tonight. After all, their price was very high. Not many people could book the whole place for the night. Yi Qinghan looked at the two women in front of him. He knew that they were the best in this place. They must have a good source of information. He said, leave tonight to me. I have something to ask you. If the information you provide is useful to me, spirit stones won't be a problem. The two sisters were overjoyed. This was a big business. As long as they did well today, they could leave this brothel tomorrow. What does young master want to ask? We will definitely tell you everything we know. Xiao Yan and Xiao Mo quickly said. Yi Qinghan shook his head and didn't say it directly. This was no small matter. He didn't want to cause any trouble. Quietly investigating and then quietly leaving was the best choice. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.